Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 52nd episode of the Vito x DINO podcast. That is 1 year if you're not counting because we do these weekly. My name is Vito Delsante. His name is Dean Hasfield.
Hi everyone, I'm Dean Haspiel.
We do have a special guest with us tonight, the lovely, talented, and she always looks amazing. Uh, I've been told that we have to compliment her as much as possible. Um, I'm just kidding. I love her.
By Whitney.
Yes. I love her to death. She is, I call her the studio wife. She's our table wife. Whenever we're away, she's the one that takes care of us. The lovely and talented Whitney Matheson.
Hi, guys. Hi there. I did not realize this was the 1 year anniversary episode. I feel very honored. I feel like I should have maybe be made myself more presentable or even prepared literally anything.
No,
But
you're
I
perfect.
have I have nothing for you. But that's exciting. Episode 52.
Yeah. Now we're going to slow down.
Thank you. Thank
Oh
you.
man,
Are we
what's
still
gonna
going to do it
happen?
weekly? Are we still going to?
I know that we've discussed going either bi-weekly or or something like that, but everything's up in the air. Like, but after a year, like we can we can actually coast now.
We can coast, but also it just seems like it's a habit I'm used to,
Yeah, and
Like,
also it doesn't seem like a year.
right,
It
right.
seems
It
like it
does.
seems like just Thursday conversation with Dean
It's
is how
funny because
we
I
record.
was talking to Whitney earlier today about how we started kind of a podcast or like a YouTube plaything during COVID when it was just the two of us in a giant studio, and it was just a way to like deal with boredom sometimes,
Mhm.
or to communicate or have fun, and sometimes it would veer into like me asking a question that would then turn into like a 30-minute answer between us,
Like an interview and stuff.
kind of like what we do sometimes,
Yeah.
So I was saying I want to redo that. I want to bring that back with Whitney, but I don't know if I can convince her.
We'll see. We'll see. Uh,
So as a little bit of backstory and history, I was first introduced to Whitney via her column in what was it, USA Today, right?
oh yeah, for 15 years.
Yeah. And I tell you this, Whitney, from the bottom of my heart. I was so dedicated to impressing you somehow so that I could be in that column.
What?
Like seriously, you were I say this with utmost respect and love. You were a tastemaker, and like I read your column religiously. So when I finally met you, I know that you didn't have your column at that point, but when I finally met you, I was like, all I still kind of want to impress her, with like
Hmm.
my work and stuff because you are a tastemaker. I feel like you are not the ultimate curator. You're damn close.
Oh goodness. Well, thank you. That's so nice.
Oh no, like
Um,
I mean that from like sincerely. Like I've always valued your opinion. I've always thought that you were a great voice in pop culture and and entertainment. I thought you had opinions that were valid and not only just valid, just well uh like just elucidated well and just like I adore you like as a person like now. But back then, I was just like, she is definitely somebody whose radar I want to be on at some point.
oh my goodness. Oh wow. Thank you.
If I may, I echo what Vito said, and I think you're pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, likewise.
I think you're pretty cool. I think
Both of
you're all
you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we find ourselves today. You are sharing a studio with Dean, a night work studio, and you work on comics now. You actually have a comic in the Red Star review.
The Red Hook Star Review.
Yes, and
I
like
Yeah.
also was doing a daily comic for 4 years, 4.5.
Yeah, I did a daily comic for a diary comic for 4 years. Also, that was during the pandemic. And then I had to stop because life got in the way, but also my child, who's now a teenager, uh, became less comfortable with being the inspiration for that daily comic.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought your child loved that. I mean, half of your material came from your child.
Oh
oh
So,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I mean, and Vito could probably do the same. You could probably do a regular strip just from your kids alone, you
Oh my
know?
goodness, James. I mean, you both.
Oh,
So, to pull the curtain back a little bit, I actually went into Brooklyn yesterday and I brought my family in. My family met Whitney for the first time.
that was so
And so
awesome.
they were all hanging out and stuff. So I was going to say, you met James. So you know James is a comic book all unto himself.
Oh my gosh, I love, yeah, your kids are so great. And
Thank you.
I felt like I mean, your wife is also great, but I felt like I instantly like had a rapport with your kid. Your daughter reminds me so much of my own, like
Yeah.
from wardrobe to like a attitude, everything. Yeah, that was so, so fun.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like and Sadie's drawn her own comic and I keep trying to encourage her to do another one only because she does come up with characters kind of like her dad. But um she came up with this, I don't know if it was a character or a concept, and she came up with it, she made a bracelet out of it. And I was like, what does that say? And it's literally said danger tits. And I was like, I want to read that comic. I don't care. Just please, like
Absolutely.
you're killing me by not doing this. And I
that's pretty
keep trying
great.
to get her to do it, and she won't do it. But her passion is animation and anime and stuff. So she her trajectory currently, unless it changes, next week, she plans on going to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, possibly Pratt, depending on what her fallback is, and because she wants to study animation and design and stuff. So, um, I think being
I
around you is also like she, you're a positive role model, whether you know it or not. Like having a studio with somebody like Dean that they know, and then you have your own space and you're working on your own stuff. I think that looks like attractive to somebody like her.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. By the way, I would have been in that studio, but Dean encouraged me to not be there and to do this from home. So,
don't know how we could be start echoing. We want to have
Yeah.
individual, you know how it goes.
we would be in the same window, but then, I would be always clamoring for the mic.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the mic, by the way, is my laptop. Are you actually using a mic? Are you being a pro,
I'm
Whitney?
just using, I mean, I feel like this might
Oh,
make me sound better than just
okay.
yelling into the
Okay.
room. I don't know.
You
So
sound fine to
Vito,
me.
When you came to the studio yesterday, um, I did immediately as you walked in the door, I kept thinking, where would Vito be sitting if he was part of the studio?
Oh, I,
Like,
I figured it would be either opposite Whitney or that far side,
yeah, the window.
where Mike might have a desk.
Yeah.
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 Did
I
you do
totally
you have any do
was
you have
that.
any pangs? Do you have any pangs of
Oh my
missing anything?
goodness, are you kidding me? Like I think at one point I like when you were Doug Latino, who was editor over at Cosmic Lion. He and you were talking about something, and I just remember sitting there, and I looked on the couch that was there, which we never had in our studio when we were together. But the couch there, that was like, I was like, oh, that's so smart. Like, and I started looking at things like that, like, oh, we could have done this, or this is where I would sit. And I think at one point I was looking at that desk when you were describing it to us, and I looked at Michelle, and she gave me a look, and I feel like we were both like, "This is what you would be doing right now. Like I would be right
If
there."
you lived here, you would have a spot here.
Yeah, like
And I miss coming in the door because you would get to the studio before me,
yeah,
and you'd be sitting at was it Seth's desk or
yeah,
something? Seth? Right. And then like you had that beautiful painted Superman lion
uh,
painting behind you, and you come in, you already been working, and it just felt good to come in, and there was already that energy. It's the same thing with Whitney. I come in, and she's already been working sometimes since 8 a.m. You know?
I
Yeah,
was
that's how it's going to be tomorrow. Got to
Oh
be
yeah.
there early. Yeah.
yeah,
All
I
right.
was explaining to my friend Chris, who you met last night, that when we were in the studio, it was very much around the time that Sadie was a baby, and it felt like I was taking care of Sadie at home, and I wasn't getting as much done. So Michelle literally called Dean and said, "Do you have any room in your studio? Because
I
Vito
remember
needs
that.
to get out of the house." And so
Yeah.
what I was telling him yesterday was I would treat it like a job. Like I would leave at 8 in the morning. I would get there. I would open the studio, and Greg Benton, I think would come in shortly after me, if not like closer to like 1 o'clock, because I'd be there around 9:30, 10. And like I had already been there and I, just been working and stuff. And I would leave at like 5. And that's kind of like Dean was already in it by then, but like 5 o'clock is when all the other artists were coming in, and like that's when their energy is.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like you, Whitney, and I have the same kind of energy, that writer energy that has that morning pages type of
Oh,
quality.
totally. I lose steam after lunch. Like yeah, I don't like it that I'm a morning person at all.
Hmm.
I wish it were not the case, but yeah, I'd get so much more done, like
I
first
think
thing
it
in the
was
morning.
yesterday that Whitney sometimes Whitney will send me something to read to say, "What do you think? Is it ready to go?" And I'll read it and then respond, and usually it's ready to go. And
Hmm.
then it'll be like, I'll get in, and she's like, "All right, I already had a day." I'm like, "I just got just got here. What are you
That
talking about? You had your work day already? Like, come
that
on."
took all day just to get to that point, I guess.
Exactly. But no, and we've also collaborated on things. I mean, anybody who knows me and Whitney, they know our history, but because Whitney's on our podcast for the first time for the people who are listening to this, you know, to give a little bit of a resume, yes, 15 years at USA Today, wrote the one of the first pop culture blogs called Pop Candy,
Yeah.
and I was lucky enough to be written about a few times, I believe, and I did feel sanctioned. And like you said, Vito, even when I met her, I wanted to impress. You want to
Mhm.
impress Whitney when you're around Whitney, and Whitney's not has no attitude, is not a diva, not asking for any of it. But everybody, the minute you
No.
meet Whitney, you just want to give her everything, you
It's
know.
funny because like whenever Charlie started coming back to Baltimore, Charlie McKelvey started coming back to the Baltimore Comic Con, he I made him share my space, like my table, because we worked together on everything. And I made it a fact, like I made it a point. I want him to meet Dean, and I feel like when you meet Dean, part and parcel, especially at Baltimore, you have to meet the entire family. So you have to meet Miscavige, you have to meet Riley Brown, who's sometimes at the table, but more importantly, you have to meet Whitney. And the funniest thing happened when we introduced them. We found out that they grew up around the same spot in Virginia.
Yeah, he lives in my hometown,
Yeah.
Fredericksburg, Virginia. I grew up down the street from the world's largest roller skate.
So
And do
I
you
feel
remember how you identified that? Remember how you figured that out?
No, how did we figure that
So we
out?
went to Charlie's table in Artist Alley,
that's right.
and he had a variant cover, I believe, that had it was a spider squirrel was getting a
Yeah.
slice of pizza at a Fredericksburg, Virginia pizza store.
Benny
The table,
Yeah.
Vitale's.
what's it called?
Benny Vitale's.
Right. And you were like, wait, Fredericksburg, like who writes about Fredericksburg ever? And on the cover of a comic book,
I
So
know. I
yeah, that
know.
that was a lot of fun.
I,
But I mean, but in terms of meeting, like Michelle calling me up to, get you into the studio. I remember when Whitney moved back from Tennessee.
Yeah, I was
You
in
lived in Tennessee for
Tennessee.
a few years.
Yeah, I was
You
a
moved back
writer in
to,
residence down there.
and then you moved back to Brooklyn, and I either bumped into each other in the street or something, or I forget how we made a connection. And then I believe Swifty Lang had left, and there was like an extra desk, a little desk. And I was like, Whitney, you just got to come write or work at the studio. Now it's not really like
Yeah.
you both can attest to this. And it's the same thing with me. Like, you don't really come to a cartoonist studio to write. It's not the easiest thing to do.
No.
I know that Swifty Lang could blank everybody out somehow and you could tell because of how heavy his hand was typing rapidly, like,
also, whenever I would start playing like Odd Future or Tyler the Creator or something would come up on my playlist or whatever, he would just zone out and just kind of type to the rhythm.
mm-hmm,
Like it was
mm-hmm,
very fun to watch. Like it was like he
mm-hmm.
was. The thing is with me, by the time all the artists showed up, I was in my lettering part of the day, so it was a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But every now and again, I would definitely write. So Whitney, I definitely can
Right.
relate to in that respect.
But Whitney, is that your first studio experience? I mean, I know you had worked in a bullpen of sorts at USA Today,
Well, I
but
think that's why I mean, yeah, because I was in Tennessee for a few years. I came back and I was freelancing. And so I was in my apartment all day. And so I don't, however, we reconnected was around the time when I was really going a little bit crazy. Like I just, I can't, I don't work well in my apartment. I get distracted by the dishes. I get distracted, like everything.
Mhm.
Um, so then, yeah, that's when you offered me a desk. And I don't know. I feel like I did come there more to be around people at
Mhm.
first, and like maybe get some minutia, like stuff I don't have to think too hard, like some invoicing, whatever done. But yeah, it was definitely because I needed like energy because I'm used to newsrooms, really. I'm used to like that kind of a lot of vibe around me.
Is that part of your process, do you think now, or is it something that you've kind of implemented differently because it's a smaller studio?
Oh, well, I mean, they're different, also different kinds of writing that I do and different kinds of work. So if it's like creative, like working, I'm trying to work on this novella right now. Like I do need to be kind of by myself to work on it. But like a lot of the freelance stuff I do, I don't really have to. Like it kind of helps to have like stuff around me and people around me. But also I know I can't. I mean, I'm a little bit introverted, but I'm kind of half and half. Like I have to have like time alone for sure, but I have to be around people or I start to get, starts to get sad.
Does it depend on what you're working on that would like the situation would change? Like if you're writing something, you need to be alone, but if you're drawing one of your like strips, you need to be around people, like
Oh,
does it
then
matter?
I can like have music on and yeah, I can be doing other stuff.
Mhm.
Uh Yeah, it just depends, but I do un I guess it is consciously. Like on days when I'm in the studio, which is most days, I do kind of schedule it so I have like the more intense like stuff in the morning, and then Dean comes in around like
Right.
what 1 o'clock. Like what by the time I need to talk out loud, I need to be around. And so yeah, my afternoon stuff is like light and
Like
I don't
Yeah,
have to really
I do a
focus.
lot of my writing at home. I've done some writing at the studio, but like the hardest thing for me to do, this is where like weird quiet time has to happen, will be when I'm laying out a comic. Because like it's like writing, laying out a story is like trying to interpret like the
Yeah.
script or whatever it is into visual, narrative. And that's the hardest part of making comics anyway, for me. Um, and so we haven't really figured out music during those parts of the day because I think Whitney would ultimately just like want no music at all, and I'd like to have at least ambient music playing. But it turns out to be the same ambient because like we have to find the sweet spot. Like Whitney's really into REM, not that that's ambient, and
Yeah,
let's
I
say
can't
I'm
listen to
more
that when I'm
into
working.
to Prince or whatever. But like trying to find that sweet spot has been Ben Webster, jazz guy.
Yeah.
Wait,
Like
for us?
you never complain whenever I put on Ben Webster, like music that
Okay.
he from the 50s,
Is it,
and
and
it's
it's
more of a slow, chill jazz,
as
type
long as it's
thing.
no words, I'm okay with it. If I'm
Yeah, it's no
trying to
words.
like,
Or I
yeah,
try to
yeah.
put on, oh God, who is it? Another, like, some kind of electronica ambient from the
Oh, yeah,
80s.
yeah. That's good. I like that.
So that'll work.
Yeah.
But then like over the years, uh Whitney has exploded as a writer. Like has written a full play, co-wrote a movie with me, co-wrote a play with me. That's one of my favorite things I love about the studio is, and same thing with you, Vito, is a collaboration. Like
Oh yeah.
uh, creating something with the people that you're around, and being able to do that, and I would like to do more of that, to be honest. But also, Whitney has already written a memoir. Like there is a memoir sitting there that she can only add to.
Yeah.
And then because I don't say because of us self-publishing or doing Kickstarters and stuff, but we live in a world of crowdfunding and being an entrepreneur and a self-publisher.
Mm.
Um, Whitney's published 2 books on top of publishing like an annual comic, a best of her comics and stuff. So, I mean, and learning that together, learning, when I talk to you, Vito, or Charlie, or Jimmy Palmiotti or whatever about self-publishing, and the ins and outs of what that is, or getting like a new mini comic from like Russ Kazmierzak or something, like it all feeds itself and energizes and galvanizes us. And it's just cool, and so Whitney, her first, what do you call these? Not a novella,
What, you mean what I've already
like
published?
Truly Sell Out and The Feeling. What would you?
Those are just collections of short fiction.
Yeah. Okay. So, and
Some people might call it a chapbook, but I I
right.
I want to elevate it. Let's elevate it a little bit.
Why not?
And wait, is chap short for chapter?
No, no, like that's a little bit like more than a zine or
No,
whatever.
I've heard the
But
term, but I was trying to
yeah.
get where it came from.
I
It's like,
always
Oh
thought that
yeah, I don't know.
it was like an elevated form of a pulp novel, like a dime novel. Like
oh no, a chapbook I think is below. Like when you would go, it would be like the Beat Generation might have chapbooks, right?
mm,
Like, and you go to a zine shop. I mean, that's what I think. That's maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. A novella or a dime store pulp novel is probably like what 150 pages or
maybe.
something like that.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's also
yeah.
perfect bound, not not stapled or anything.
Right, right. So anyway, all that to say is that Whitney's super prolific and really
Yeah,
talented, and the thing that and you can talk about this, Whitney, a little bit, but the thing that Whitney is looking for is an agent, and I think we've talked about this, Vito. I'm not a fan of agents. I know I'm not trying to step on the job, but like I've only heard worse stories than good. Let's put it that way, you know? And like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know?
think it depends on the project though. Like I have, there's stuff that I've self-published and it wouldn't make sense for me to have an agent
Mhm.
or like I can do better or I can have like, I want more freedom or I want to be more experimental or I could even do better financially without an agent. But like certain projects, if they're bigger, I don't know. Like this memoir I finished and that like I do think it might be helpful. But
Mhm.
that said, I don't love the hustle of it.
yeah,
I don't love the hustle part of, any of my jobs, which is a significant, amount of time. And I don't love that at all. And I don't love sometimes getting feedback that's like we were talking about this yesterday. Some of the most common feedback I get is, well, what do we compare it to? We don't have a compare. I'm like, I mean, how do you really have to have like
yeah.
blurbs and comparable
Like
but
welcome to the new media. That's all you got to say, I guess.
yeah, you got to play the game sometimes.
Vito, have you ever had anybody represent you?
No, you basically. But you Michelle is as close to an agent as I've ever had, really. Like she goes out there and she will pump my work, especially at a show. If we're together, she will she'll put the book in people's hands. And I know that like for me, like the reason why I look for an agent is um it's mostly not even in the writing field, but more in the graphic novel field. Like I'll do more lettering, you know what I mean? Like, but I can't find those lettering jobs, like it's always just, doing comics or whatever. But like, graphic novels are big business. Why can't I be lettering at Scholastic or Random House or whatever? And I feel like that's where I would need the assistance in getting that. But otherwise, like if somebody wants to represent me as a writer, that's fine too. I want to be able to prove myself as a writer first. Like I'm finishing up this novel by the time I get home, like so hopefully in the next 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm literally on the last chapter and a half. Um, and I just want to, I would have worked on it here, but I forgot my beats for the last chapter. So I was like, dang it, like I gotta just let it go. So like I'm finishing up the first draft, and eventually I'm going to send it to you, Dean, and I'll probably try to talk Whitney into sending it to her as well, just because again, I value her opinion, I value her taste, and I just want to be able to maybe self-publish that, maybe put it on Patreon, the other one, Substack,
Kickstarter?
yeah, Substack, or
That's
Oh,
that.
and then maybe print it as a Kickstarter, But I really, I like the fact that it's something that I did on my own, and then I can,
Mhm.
like I don't have to rely on anybody. I don't have to pay anybody, out of the money. I can just print it and then put the money towards whatever.
It's funny because you're talking about, I think one of the reasons why you're writing a novel is not only because you're a writer, but because also you are working on so many comics that rely on collaboration with artists, right? And
Mhm.
you're waiting on artists, or you're waiting to make enough money to pay for artists or whatever. And then recently you embarked on trying to draw your own comics or
Right.
learn how to draw a comic. And it's funny because like, you put your flag in the sand and say, I'm going to try and draw a comic. Whitney just started drawing comics. Like,
Right, right. And I
what the
mean,
hell?
I don't
there's
You
even
didn't ask for
draw.
nobody about nothing.
but like the thing is, the real reason why I want to do this novel is not so much, I mean, everything that you said is true, but it's really because why am I writing only comics? Why can't I write a novel? Why can't I do a screenplay? I mean, I wrote a television pilot a couple of years ago with my friend Jacob Cooney, which is a Stray TV show, like a Stray television pilot. So why can't I, now do a screenplay or, do so? And I have a couple of novel ideas. One of them is a stray novel, which is probably what I'm going to jump into after this novel's done. Just because, like, I want to just keep, the momentum of this stuff going.
Well, you're talking about being a writer, and one of the things that Whitney has been talking about, and then Whitney can talk about this, is that yes, she's been in a room full of cartoonists the last bunch of years, and now we're in a smaller room, just me basically, and we have other people that come by once in a while, but we're also on a floor of fine artists and painters and textiles and this and that, but no real writers, like
You
I
know,
mean, Whitney can talk about, but Whitney's been going to more. Well, you can talk about it, Whitney. Like you're desiring to be around writers more, and going to residencies and talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it's important, like, because I'm a writer to number one, read. So, like last year, that was one of my big goals is like I'm gonna read a lot more, which I did. And that also helps me, I feel like helps my brain and helps me keep, even if I'm not like writing something at the moment, I feel like I'm working toward it when I'm reading. And yeah, and spending more time like going to readings and feeling like it's sort of paying attention to what's going on and maybe occasionally being part of that stuff. Like that's what I probably should be doing more this year. That said, I don't want to spend too much time around writers because writers are really boring.
yeah.
And generally speaking, they're shy and they don't want to talk about anything, like
Do
I do
you,
love writers, but I mean, sometimes not, I mean, not all the time. I'm pretty happy, like, Dean, I think we work together really well. And there is something to be said for being around like creative energy that isn't necessarily writer energy.
Whitney, do you find that most writers that you've met are very, I want to say, protective of their process, or not protective, but just kind of like maybe like unaware of their process, even?
Yeah, I think that's true. Or don't even really want to talk about anything but writing and
Mhm.
yeah, anything but that stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get more out of like I do love going to see writers like writer talks and writer readings than if I were to share a studio with a bunch of writers. I don't know that I would get the same inspiration as I do,
Yeah,
you know.
for me, like I've always been around comic book writers, and the comic book writers are always talking about their projects. They're always talking about themselves, and
Hmm.
it's just like, can't we just talk about just writing, or talk about things
Or
like
you
that?
mean story, or you mean writing or story?
Oh, more like the craft of story, not a specific story. Do you know what I mean?
You
Like
mean how to get from like how to open up a story kind
or
of?
something, or like what do you do when you get stuck in a fight scene, or what do you do when you have too many words on a page, and you
Mhm.
know about the like no one ever talks about this. I've never been precious about my process. I'll tell anybody anything they want to know, like I just
Well,
absolutely adore being somebody that somebody can learn something from. Not necessarily a teacher or a mentor, but just something, like if somebody can glean something from what I do, like I feel like that's my purpose to share that.
Whitney can talk about this. Whitney always tells me this, repeats this mantra all the time, and I hope I got it right. I want Whitney to tell us a little bit more about this, but also I think Whitney was a teacher, so maybe you have some like process thoughts. One of the things that Whitney will say to me is a wealth of information, economy of words. Is
Well, you
that how
got
you
it
say it?
backwards, but yes, yes, an
Oh,
economy of words, a wealth of information. It used to be what the saying at USA Today. It was said all the time. It was also just how I was taught to write as it went in journalism school, and especially after the internet, because you realize that everybody's stopping. It used to be after the third paragraph. It's probably after the first sentence now. So I was trained to just yes, not no cut the adjectives, cut the, to get right to it. And I do think that's also how I write as a fiction writer, how I write, I mean, I published like last year, I published this book of 24 short stories, and I think it's only 75 pages long. So everything is like, I get to it. Um, and there's some like very descriptive writing that I love, but I also think there's something to just spit it out.
Mm.
Just
it's
get to
funny
it.
because like if you read like one of the stories in The Feeling, let's say, or any of them, and you can like it feels very ambient and not very plot driven. There might be a twist, but every sentence literally advances the story. Like a
Yes.
sentence, not three sentences, not four, one. And then you
Yeah.
get to the next sentence, and somehow it's advancing. And so the whole story could be a page and a half, but it could have been 10, you
Mm.
know? But you got it all. And then it just felt very like ambient and like it's or sometimes it's got this hard, kind of ending. It almost in a Raymond Carver-esque type way, you
I
know?
mean, that's one of my faves. I love
Yeah.
Raymond Carver. Well, I mean, we could not have our taste, especially in like movies, could not be more different because all I just want a superhero movie where they just talk to each other for 2 hours and they're just sitting
You
on a
want the
couch.
you want the halal scene, 2 hour halal Avenger scene, right? Like
I
where they're
want,
just eating
yeah,
gyros and talking about gyros. Yeah.
I
I mean,
want.
that's the Umbrella Academy, basically, right?
Oh, is it? I've never read it.
I mean,
I've
there's
never
there's
read it.
very little action, but it's a lot of family dynamic and stuff,
Wait,
like
that's not the guy who wrote Umbrella
Yeah,
Academy.
that's
Gerard Way.
Gerard
I
Way.
was going to say, isn't that your
That's
daughter's one of her
that
favorite?
Right.
is
Yeah. Okay.
yep, yep.
Oh, that's funny.
Um, yeah, I love, I do like my story. There's usually some semblance of a plot, but
Yes. Yes.
ultimately I love writing
Well,
dialogue.
dialogue and character. You're very
Yeah.
much
Oh
character
yeah, yeah, yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I feel it's funny because I feel like my writer voice is basically my speaking voice. Like I feel like I write the way I speak, uh,
hmm
which I don't know how that developed, or like why it developed. It just ended up being that way. Um, but I did have a question for Dean. It seems like since you and Whitney have shared space, you've written a lot more. Do you think that's because of her influence or because of being around her?
I'll give Whitney some props. I'm sure that definitely writing begets writing. I also think I'm entering a phase where my hand hurts too much to draw and my eyes and all that, and I've lost confidence in my art. So that's a whole other issue. But like with that in mind, I'm encouraged to like I don't know if I was sitting in a room with six other Kari Randolphs and Peter Rostovsky's and like the old studio, and
Mhm.
I could see their art. I might try to uplift my game as an artist. So I do miss that. But yeah, I think the thing I haven't done that I need to is to read more.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
not reading as much, and I'm very jealous of Whitney because you would think, oh, all that reading, like you read how many books last year, Whitney?
Oh, I don't know how many. A lot, a
A
lot. I
lot.
try to read a book
But
a
you also
week
saw a lot of TV and movies. I'm like, how are you doing this?
Yeah, I
because
don't get
I'm
that.
because mothers are ingenious at balancing their time.
She's
It's
not
a
I get
wrong.
mother. It's a
I get
mother
more
skill.
I think it does come with parenting a little bit. I get more I Gina, I tell you all the time I get more done by 10 a.m. than you do all day.
It's true. It's true. And also, Whitney's willing to see a movie at 11 a.m. And I'm like,
I
no.
love an
That's my
11 a.m.
favorite.
movie.
Oh my goodness. She's
I
right on about that.
The Angelica will do it at 10:30 in the morning. That is so amazing and nobody's there. It's the best. Why
Yep. Do
would
they serve
anybody go
breakfast?
why
Jeez.
would anybody go at like at 7 o'clock? No, that's not for me.
Oh,
No.
I'll see a movie as early as possible. Not because of, not wanting to be around people, although that, does play into it sometimes, but just like the most oddball hours of the day. Like I think I saw Civil War, the Alex Garner movie. I think I saw that
Mm,
at like 12:15 in the afternoon, and it was literally me and one other person. Like
mm,
I kill for that kind of theater
mm.
experience.
What was
It
the
also depends on
other?
the movie. It depends on the movie. But go ahead. You can say
Oh
Whitney.
no, what was it was Barbie and then the other movie that people saw this
Oh,
summer.
Oh, Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. I saw a 9 a.m. screening of Oppenheimer, which was a little early for Oppenheimer,
For
but
that, yes.
and that's like a 3 hour movie, I think.
It's
yeah,
Hey,
not
we
even
yeah.
just,
that. It's just like the heaviness of it is like,
it is
oh,
heavy. It is
you
heavy.
literally just woke
No,
up, you went to the
I
movie theater, and
know.
you watched Oppenheimer.
Let's blow up the world. Actually, Vito, did you hear, or Winnie, did you hear that the running time for Avengers Doomsday?
I don't want to know.
Wait, is
I'm,
that a
I'm going to
new
see it anyway.
that's
Yeah,
a new Avengers movie?
Yeah,
that's going to
next
be
year.
the big new event that's going to resuscitate the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 3 hours and 45 minutes.
I don't know
That's
about
fine.
that. Who's directing it?
The
The
Russo
Russo
brothers.
brothers.
I mean, I have superhero fatigue.
I know, I
I
know.
do. I
I
I think they
do.
talked for about two and a half of the hours
Oh well, there you go, Whitney.
in a diner. Just
Yeah,
talk.
is there a long therapy session? Because that would be.
I would love an intermission. That's the thing I love about going to Broadway is the intermission, just because it's like, oh, I do want to stand up and I do want to walk away and like kind of absorb what I just watched. Or
You know, it was weird. I was
Hmm.
watching when I saw The Brutalist. It comes with an intermission,
Yeah.
but
that's
I was
perfect.
watching it on TV where I could hit pause. So I was like, why do we have an intermission? Like, I understand in the theater, but I was hitting pause to go to the bathroom anyway. So like
Right.
suddenly I was forced to have an intermission. I
You
didn't even
mean
know how
they have
long.
the intermission is like on the
On
screen
TV,
That's
yes,
and
great.
it's
which
like a
is
countdown?
silly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
That's silly.
cool.
But you know, you said therapy. Somebody said therapy session,
Yeah.
and Vito's first professional published comic, or was it first DC comic?
First professional, first
Was
everything.
a therapy session. It's a Bruce Wayne goes to therapy
I
to talk about. It's 5 or 6 pages, and it's called The
have to see
Couch,
it.
and it's
Oh my
great. It's
gosh,
a
that sounds
perfect
so
Yeah,
story.
good.
it was all word association.
Yeah, it was
Like
great.
it was just an idea that I had. Like, what would a superhero's word association kind of therapy session be? And then, so like in the first panel, I just set up why he's at this therapy session, and then we just jump right into it. It's like Dean
It
drew
was
it.
great. It was
Oh
great.
wow, I've got
It
to
was a lot of
see
fun.
it. Yeah,
But so Whitney, when you were teaching, like what were some of like I don't know if you want to get into like process tips or whatever, or maybe you can answer it through this. Like I hate this the question of creativity, but like what are some of the things that you do to spark an idea? Like what
oh,
do you write
oh,
down notes or something and then suddenly a sentence
yes.
or a word turns into
Uh,
what?
I'm looking around because I have my notebook, but well, for me, I have to that stuff, ideas and planning out like for instance, chapters of this thing that I'm writing. Everything starts longhand for me. It can't start on a computer. So, yeah, I have notebooks where I map all that out and then just kind of like free write and associate and figure all that out. My brain can only work in that way, in an idea generating way, if it's with a pen and paper. And then I also, this is gonna get nerdy, but sometimes I do like little like the other day I did this exercise where like if I take a piece of paper and then I fold it in half and then on one part I'm gonna name like 10 adjectives and then I'm gonna flip it over and then on this part I'm gonna name 10 nouns and then I do it, and then I have like words that go together that you wouldn't normally put together. And then the other day I did that, and then I did this little exercise.
Mm.
This is revealing too much. I don't know, but I did this little exercise where I wrote like a little paragraph that incorporates those phrases. Hold on, I could even tell you what some of them
Yeah.
are. Some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them are
yeah.
more,
Is this something you
ordinary.
came up with, or did you get this idea
Yeah,
from
I
someone
just do
else?
stuff like that all the time. I don't remember if I don't know. It works for me. I don't know. I can't remember if I learned that anywhere. But
And I know Vito likes to create new characters every day. I find that to be difficult. I've invented only so many characters, and then I try to revisit those characters and continue to tell those stories. You and Vito share the thing that kind of boggles my mind is that you can write this amazing page and a half story or 3 pages or whatever, however many pages, and then you're never going to revisit them again.
Because
I
it's an
do.
exercise.
Yeah, I love doing that. I love creating characters, but I'm inspired all the time. I live in a city. I have encountered 30 characters just today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so see, I did this little exercise. So yeah, folded it down the middle and then I have little
Wow. Can you name
things.
some? Can you name some of them?
Yeah, I
Or
can.
some of the words?
Flying syrup is one. Some of them don't work at all. Uh, famous mother, graceful water. That's a pretty good one. Graceful water. Swooning realization that I was
Oh, that's good.
able to put into a little paragraph. Tired antlers. So I don't know what to do with that.
Wow.
Green moment, spicy miracle, dangerous hospital. Oh, that's real. That's almost psychic, considering what happened today. Furry emergency, voluptuous, voluptuous capital, which
Oh,
Okay.
voluptuous capital sounds a little bit like your next COVID cop adventure.
that's a handful right there.
Uh,
It's a handful,
um,
you
anyway,
know.
curly voyage, hairy light. Anyway, they're
That's really
yeah,
cool. I had no
yeah,
idea you did that.
yeah.
That's I've just learned something new today. I thought I knew everything about Whitney.
Oh
That's
yeah.
so you truly are a writer, and that's I think sometimes you'll see people like one of our studio mates, Ariel's here, and she draws every day. I don't draw every day. I don't have a sketchbook that whenever I draw, and this sounds really obnoxious, but often when I draw, it's getting published. Like
Yeah.
I don't do the exercise. Like people who play guitar, I think play guitar every day,
Yeah.
to practice,
Oh yeah.
their
Yeah.
movements or whatever. And it's like you're practicing writing every day,
Oh, all the time, but also in my head and oh gosh, here I'll read you. Here's I also if I overhear something, which I do all the time, I'll write it down or email myself. And today I'll read you one today that happened when I was on my way to get my hair done. I heard a woman say, "That's not a religious thing. That's a witchcraft thing that you don't know the power of." Yeah.
Mm,
It's like I didn't write that
that's
down. That's
good.
great.
Oh, I've definitely written things down on my phone or on a piece of paper in my pocket or something. I mean, I think we've all done that. I love that stuff.
I
Wait,
wrote
what was
down
this?
my notes app once, and I had like I wrote this down. Has to be over 8 years ago. It's probably like 9 or 10 years ago at this point. No, not 10. Like about 9 years ago at this point. I wrote down too many knives, Batman. I don't understand what that
Too
means.
many knives,
Too many
Batman.
knives.
Yeah,
I
too
love
many
it.
knives, Batman.
I
Wait,
love it.
is it someone saying Batman, comma, too many knives? Or
No,
is it a version of Batman who is
exactly.
covered in
It's too
knives?
many knives,
Like
Batman.
literally, the way I kind of remember it is as an action figure, and it's a Batman action figure that has too many knives. But Batman doesn't even use knives, so why does he have too many?
Too
It's
many.
funny. I wrote this down. I don't know if I can see if it'll pop up on
No,
the phone.
No,
no.
There you
there
Oh,
it is.
go.
wait. And it
So
totally
I'll read
so
it out
yeah.
loud. So all the person was walking by. I'm sitting in my car because I'm parking it, waiting, and all I heard literally was, "And it totally sucked." Then I went to a place on Atlantic Avenue, and they totally sucked. I got to tell you, and that was it. And I was like, "What totally sucked twice? Like, what was happening in these different places?" And then I'm trying to think if I have any others. Like, I'm constantly writing these things down, and I don't know what to do with them half the time. Um,
They're just, sometimes I don't think that these things actually are supposed to be like anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're not more than that, right? Like if you're doing like where is it? I got Whitney the new R. Crumb comic,
hmm.
Tales of Paranoia. And the spirit of that, or like a Harvey P. Carr American Splendor, you can have the main story, but then a character in the background could be walking by in one panel and saying that just to give flavor of the streets,
Here's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like so I took the opportunity the other day to transfer from my like all these ideas that I had from an old moleskin that was falling apart. And one of them was there's nothing good in here. Well, there's some good. A person acquires a demonic relic at an auction slash storage unit slash antiques roadshow, which I think is funny. Um,
mhm. I
but
like the
this one
road
I
show.
thought was really good.
Hmm.
Kennedy's Ich bin ein Berliner speech. Kennedy was head of the Fourth Reich. Like,
Whoa,
what? Like,
right,
just
right.
so like I'll just see like because that's how I work. Is I'll
Yeah,
see
yeah.
something and I'll just think of the like how to twist it or something.
Like you almost just throw down a premise or a twist, right?
Right.
Like,
Like it's
yeah.
it's it's less about nobody says anything interesting in my neck of the woods. Like
Oh,
they don't have interesting conversations.
well, it's funny because when growing up as a kid, my parents had uh bought a house together in East Hampton, and not the East Hampton that we think of, like
Great
the
Gatsby.
chocolate side. It was a cabin, and I remember getting a gig as like a lifeguard at a bay or something like that, or maybe like helping sculpt the landscape this beach a little bit. And I remember seeing like six locals, these dudes. They're all like, shredded, like, they are all muscly and like lifting weights and whatever. And I'm just a skinny twerp. And I kind of mosey on over. And this guy had a van and he had opened the door and they were talking about the lining that he had just got put into the door of the van. And it wasn't even like artwork on a van. It was like the rubber lining or something. And it was so impressed with like, oh, where'd you get that, man? Like, what kind of? And I had no idea. I thought I was on an alien planet. Like, they were talking about some car aspect, like with such, passion, you know. And here I am, like, I can't wait to go home and read a comic book, kind of a thing. And I just had no way to relate to that. It was so weird. But those are the kind of things you can pick up on and put into your story or explore or put in the background of to give it that sense of flavor or authenticity in a certain space, you know? I think those things are very important. But yeah, of course, we all write down these things and try to use them or incorporate them into our stories. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to crack my own process, like I don't know. I think recently Jonathan Ames has told me for years, try to find joy in every sentence you write. And I try to add that to artwork. It's not always possible, but
Right.
I like the idea of that,
I
because in
try
a
to,
way you're entertaining yourself.
oh yeah, I try to do that. Like especially because I remind myself like you're not getting paid for this. Nobody's asking you for this. So like what's the harm? Just like write what you want and will entertain you. And then I also try to read a bunch of different types of things at one time to get inspired, like or at least alternate. Like there's always like some sort of comic usually that I'm trying to read, but also maybe a memoir I'm trying to, like putting different things in my head.
Jonah Wheeling called me up last night because he went from comic book resources, or was it Newsarama? I forget which one.
Comic book resources.
Comic resources, and he sold it, and then he went on to do theater and like become an actor and a producer and all that. We've been talking about a play I wrote or something he's written. And he said the other recently, I think he was at like a workshop where there were these two one-act plays that had scenes in it, right? So there were two one-act plays, and they read them back to back. and then the guy that was curating the event. So you read one play, everyone talked about it. You read another play, and then the third aspect was to read the first scene of the one play, then the first scene of the second play, then the second scene, and just alternate scenes between the two plays. And he said it was really interesting because you also learn more about how the plays worked in that way too. And I don't know how similar or dissimilar they were,
Saying even though
but
they're in Congress, probably. Like,
I don't remember he said that they were similar or not, but something about, there's a trick supposedly in when you're pitching that if you start to tell somebody a story and they ask you like, oh, tell me the story you're working on, right? And you start to explain to them what the story's about and you're conveying it in an artful, dramatic way or whatever. And then you choose a moment to stop and you say, you know what? I need some water. Do you need some water? Oh, you do? Okay, cool. You go away for like 3 minutes. You come back with 2 glasses of water. And if the person that you were conveying the story to starts to talk about baseball or anything else, the story's not working.
right.
Like they have to be like, so what happens next? You had it on a cliffhanger, like if you're cliffhanger and your story's not working, so go back to the drawing board kind of a thing, so it's interesting. So when you say, Whitney, that you'll be reading different books, do you mean literally like 3 or 4 books at the same time?
Well, I try to read something every morning with my coffee. So, and because otherwise I would, because also that's one of the few times where I have maybe this like 20-minute window where I'm not making a lunch or, doing something else. So, so yeah, it might be, I mean,
But you're reading the same book every morning, no?
yeah,
When you say you're reading
usually,
something like,
but sometimes, if I'm reading like a kind of a like heavy novel, then I don't know, in the morning, like I have that book of Joe Brainerd comics. I have this other book that's like uh oh, I've been reading a fan's notes, by the way, which you
oh, I
gave
give that
me.
to you. Is
But
it
I do
good?
kind of bounce back and forth, but I only read stuff I really like, and if I don't like it, I give it like 50 pages, and if I hate it, I
Right,
get discard it.
right, right, right. I like that. I like that rule. Um, Vito, same. You read enough or not?
I try to. I mean, it's hard, because I do have the regular job. Um,
Yeah.
I'm currently, I mentioned it, I think last week or the week before. I got 3 or 4 books for Christmas. One of them is the Cameron Crowe memoir.
I
Right.
read it. I loved it.
Yeah,
I
I'm enjoying.
cried.
Yeah, I had to stop for a couple of days because I didn't know about his older sister,
Yes. Well,
and
nobody
that
did.
yeah, that kind of screwed me up for a couple of days, and then I jumped back into it. But like I'm reading it like nightly. Um, I think the next book that I read is probably going to be a book called The Fixer, which is about uh, a Hollywood fixer. I forget, he was a really famous one too, and I can't remember his name, but he like saw everything. Like he apparently knew who killed Marilyn Monroe and stuff like that. Not fiction, but like semi-autobiographical.
My
Uh,
dad wrote about who killed Marilyn Monroe in his first book.
yeah. I also, funny enough, we went to Target on Sunday, and somebody had left a shopping cart full of books. So me and Michelle like rifled through them. I found Othello, which is one of my favorites, so I'm going to reread that. The Howard Stern Private Parts,
Yes.
which I owned at one point and got signed. And there was another one I don't know, I can't remember. But yeah, like I just like my mother when we walked in, she goes, "Vito cannot turn down a free book."
Oh,
Like,
I'm the same way. I love that about living because in my neighborhood, there I've gotten, I mean, a good amount of books you just pick up off the sidewalk
yeah,
because nobody has room to keep anything, including myself. I put a
yeah.
lot out on the street.
My grandmother always told us you never throw out a book. Like you never put a book in the garbage, I think is what she technically said. So like I can't like I'd rather give it away than throw it out. Because I think her reasoning was you're throwing out knowledge. So like I usually just donate my books to the library when I'm done. So much so that the local library named their graphic novel section after me
Oh,
in
cool.
Pennsylvania.
That's
So
amazing.
like it's crazy. Like I just because I wouldn't throw something out.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. So Whitney, you also like format a lot. You like to play with format. So could you talk a little bit about the origin of the feeling? Because I was there for that, and it was how you arrived at it, you know. And then can you talk a little about the memoir and the premise behind that, and then talk about the new thing you're writing?
Oh, that's a good question, Dean. You really thought this through. Uh,
1 year
yeah.
in, he's got to get professional at some point.
Wow, this is like a serious interview question. Um, Yes, I do love to play with format. I even did that when I had a blog. Like sometimes I mean, and wrote a column, like I would do mess around and do things. Like one week I had my column was a comic and one, I mean, whatever. I would mess around with form all the time. But okay, your first question was, oh, the feeling was
Basically,
just,
so in terms of format, you're the
yeah,
feeling.
yeah.
I wouldn't
And
name
the
Trudy
memoir and
sellout, but that's
yeah,
short
yeah, yeah.
stories like that. I
Yeah, the fe
understand.
well, I said it's 24 super short stories. It started because I had an exercise where in um, November I wanted to write 30 stories in 30 days, and I did it. And then I kind of kept that momentum. I mean, that kind of like kept me going a little bit. And then I realized I mean, I've got a lot of stuff, but I had enough to do that. And I just liked this compact. I mean, I should have one right here. I'll get one from across the room. I just liked having like a compact thing where you can get that many stories. So yes, that's the format of that. And then oh, the memoir that I wrote that has yet to be published, but some have been published on my Substack, whitneymatheson.substack.com, is it's a memoir told through 50 cultural objects. So every chapter is like one chapter might be a song, another is a movie, another is the world's largest roller skate, which I mentioned, which I grew up down the road from. So it's 50, the Etch a Sketch, it's 50, and Dean has read, you're the only person maybe who's read all 50 chapters. It's 50 cultural touchstones. It's about, so you get a little bit of these cultural histories, history of the thing, but it's ultimately about me and the tie between that and me. Yeah. Oh, and then wait, the
And
third thing
the
was
one
The,
Dean,
that
the one you're
no
working on
one,
I'm
now.
working on now is this novella that takes place in a bookstore, and every chapter is a different section of the bookstore and told in that style of the bookstore section. So there's a self-help chapter. The one I'm working on now is the thriller chapter, which is very hard for me because I just like people talking about life. Um, yeah. So, and
The cookbook chapter is going to be interesting.
oh, yes, it is. Then that is a chapter. So yeah, but ultimately all of these things come together and it tells one solid, one streamlined
Oh,
story.
that's amazing. That's so
Yes.
smart.
isn't that cool?
I
I
don't,
mean,
like you never. It's funny, like whenever she was saying that, I was like, oh, that's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? And I think we all come to that, like conclusion whenever we're talking to our peers or, talking to, somebody that we're even mildly friendly, competitive with, just that, like, we always say that there's only one or, four or five ideas that just get recycled over and over again. So whenever you hear something novel, you're like, oh, that's great. I don't play with format enough except for in layouts, like in comic book layouts whenever I'm doing the script and I tell the artist, like to, look at Will Eisner or look at Gil Kane or something like that, and then like sometimes I'll actually have to draw it for them. But God, Whitney, that's so good. it's so good.
you
Um,
know,
I love that.
anthologies, if especially thematic anthologies, can help push you out of your own way, if that makes
Yeah, that's
sense. You
true.
know, I like a good anthology, especially when it has a conceit or something, like, um, yeah, I'm very inspired by Whitney, and not only can she take a challenge like that and then make it work and inspire, but at the end of the day, forget all the trappings of that stuff. It's just these heartfelt stories that mean
Mhm.
something. And I was going to ask Whitney, and the same thing with you, Vito. I don't know what my answer is. The question of who you writing for.
oh, yeah, I mean, I'm writing for myself. I'm writing for myself with the audience in the back of my head because I do want to, certain things, yeah, I want people to, if I didn't want people to read it, I wouldn't be writing it. But I mean, it's mainly to amuse myself. Uh, but at the same time, yeah, like certain things I want to be distributed. I want people to see it. I want people to, you know, read it and feel something from it,
Yeah,
because
you
if
don't shy
they,
away from mainstream. You want you're one of the creators I know that like I would love for the world to love everything I do, you know?
yeah, well, I think that also comes from maybe journalism a little bit because I think you learn that ultimately journalism is a public service. Like you're doing it, even if it's entertainment, but especially when you start out and you're doing like city meetings and all that stuff, like you're doing a public service, you're trying to help in some way, you're informing, you're helping the public.
And you're
And
also looking at a circulation that's probably greater than most books, even, like that just come out for the first time writer, first time, book, or a comic book, in general, like you're looking at circulations of, tens of thousands.
oh
So
yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right.
depending on who you're writing for sure. Like especially when I was at USA Today, it's a very large circulation.
Or
But
right now you write for the biggest circulation.
what are you talking about?
What do you write for once a month for the biggest circulation
Oh,
of
I
the
do write for the biggest circulate. I write for AARP magazine. So
it's
that
true.
is the 32 million, I think. It's very large. But in my head, I do still I think journalism is a public service. And I think that I still have that thinking in part of my head when I'm writing, even if it's writing a short story or writing anything that I'm making. I think I do. Part of me does want it also to be a public service in some way. And usually that service is just like making the audience feel some sort of emotion.
Vito, who you writing for?
I mean, very similarly, I always feel like I'm writing for myself because these are stories that I want to read. But in listening to Whitney and just thinking about the question, I'm like, I think I'm in a way writing for my father, like
Mm,
writing, not something that I think he would approve of, but something that I think would entertain him,
Mm.
mm.
because he and I shared a love of Batman and Robin and stuff. And even Stray, is obviously a Nightwing pastiche, if not, overly just Nightwing in different clothes. Um, so I think, in some ways I'm writing for him. Definitely for my kids, like I want like my kids to, read it and kind of get something out of it. But it's so weird, like when you start meeting people that have read your book and like, praise it, like you realize that your your small kind of enclave of people that you're actually writing for is so much bigger than you could have ever imagined. Like it's just like it's not like you were saying about journalism. It's not like a public service or like it's not like a hope of getting the biggest audience you can out of the smallest print run or whatever, or a big print run or whatever. It's just you never know who you're reaching, sometimes. And the three of us have been at tables, together where, we will have people go walking down the line of every one of us at the table saying something, like high praise or something that like, oh, I'm so happy that I met you last year because I read your book and now I want to read more of what you write. It's so weird, making, I don't want to say fans because that sounds so,
Well, I call it human connections. Like to
yeah.
me, like I've said forever, like my work isn't done until you receive it, for better or for worse, you know. And I, who am I writing for? I guess I'm like everybody else. I'm kind of writing for myself. Uh, and it's not been more evident than like yesterday. I don't know what I was thinking about. I was cracking myself up so much. I was like, I am the funniest person I know to me, you know, like, and maybe it's narcissism. I don't know what it is. But then Larry O'Neill, our mutual pal, he'll notice I have a certain style of like making fun of him where it's not funny, but his reaction of not laughing kills me. Like, and he's like, "You're the only one laughing here, Dean. You're not dying because he doesn't find it funny, and the other people around that might be paying attention to whatever's going on will either laugh because I'm laughing, it's contagious or something, but no one knows why they're laughing except me.
I feel like you can put the amount of time that both I and Whitney have known you, and it would probably be equal to as long as Larry has known you
Sure.
individually, and that's what makes that funny. Like,
Hmm.
like you think he would know by now.
You think you would know, and then yet there's a glimmer of him wanting to smile at least because I'm just enjoying my moment, or whatever's happening. I'm just spraying the room with my perfume of comedy, or whatever. I don't know, but uh, I don't know what happens. Am I crazy? I don't know, but when
I,
it
I
comes to craft, no, but when it comes to crafting a story, because remember, some people, and I kind of agree with this. Sometimes they say writing is in the editing, you know, but sometimes that initial thing that you vomit out onto the paper is the gold right there. Just like when I do a layout,
yeah.
and it's so much better than the page that took me 6 hours or 8 hours to draw. It was that initial kind of, it's like this jazz moment, of inspiration. So like that vomit of words sometimes is, like the overheard thing that you just heard and there was no edit to it. It just is what it is. And then the writing comes in the crafting. And then so in the crafting, I start thinking about who's supposed to read this? Who the comp, when the agent wants to know who's this for, kind of a thing. And I do get mixed up because I don't follow the rules of genre. I never have. I don't follow the rules of memoir, you know? And that's actually what also inspires me about how Whitney writes in terms of
Yeah.
format. Like she's not following the rules, you know?
I think
Yeah.
of the three of us, I think she writes like from a pure standpoint for herself. I think like the two of us might be, I don't want to say influenced, because it sounds like it's in a bad way, but I think we're influenced by our market.
And our heroes.
Yeah, and like how they
Absolutely.
worked. And I think Whitney, like I said, I think she comes from a more pure, um, like the journalism background, writing for USA Today, writing for herself, like the memoir
Well,
and stuff.
yeah, but Whitney, if you could say, and you read a lot more, so this answer may be foreign to me, but if you could say that you write like someone, who do you write like?
Joan
Oh,
Or
Didion.
not, or you don't.
no, I'm much more cheerful than Joan Didion.
Thank God.
I don't want, yeah, I think, oh gosh, I do try to write things. No, I wasn't, I didn't want to, Joan Didion's great. Everybody, sure, everybody
But
unanimously loves her. But I mean, I tried, my writing's not a drag. I mean, I don't know. I think like, I try really hard not to be a drag anyway. Um, I don't, I don't, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that. I think it's just an amalgamation of, I
Well,
mean,
who are your heroes?
but there's so many
I know you
heroes.
like Patti
There's,
Smith, but do you like
yeah,
Patti Smith's writing style? I know you like
let's
her.
let's
yeah,
do it
I
like
like
this.
her writing style.
Who's your Mount Rushmore? Let's pick
Yeah,
four
who's your
people.
your and they
Write
can
a book.
change 5 minutes from now, but just instinctually, just go with your gut.
Yeah. Um, I mean, Raymond Carver, Michael Stipe. I'm trying to think of all maybe like Richard Linklater or something, but
Oh, you're just
obviously
going,
like
you're just going culturally. Like,
why not? I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
all that stuff is so everything is very influential. Yeah, maybe Patti Smith would be on there, but all these people, like I
There's
have
a
little
writer that
bits.
you were
They're
really
threads, but there's nobody I'm really like strongly aligned with that I can think of.
who was the
Why?
writer you kept trying to find their books? And I want to say it's Brainerd, but I don't think it is. Is it? There was a writer.
I like Joe Brainerd, but it might be, is it Ron Padgett, the poet?
No,
Oh, um,
there was a, and you would send
oh,
me
I know who it
passages.
is. It's Richard Brodigan. I do
Yeah.
love him. I love him.
Okay. Can you
Yeah.
say something about him? Like tell Vito
Oh,
what's
just like amazing. like California, like San Francisco in the 60s, like, and also master of the short story, like
Mm.
one page short story, and also the master of maybe it doesn't have a plot and it doesn't matter. Yeah, not everything has to have a plot and great character. That is true. That's a good one. I do love.
Throw a title at us so some of us can look them up.
Oh, Revenge of the Lawn.
All right.
I have a copy of that book. I think I have one right here. I have one in my living room, and I think I have one at the studio. I think
That's
there's a copy of that book next to my desk.
The
Yeah,
same book, three
I
copies of the
think
same book.
yeah, I think so.
like
All right, because
Whitney.
that might come up in an answer to. I have two
Whitney
questions I'm going to ask
just
us.
described me with the Crisis on Infinite Earths title. Like I have it in so many different formats. Like it's crazy.
You
Yeah,
know, it's funny. I have that with Jack Kirby's OMAC,
I was going to
yeah,
say got
here's
to be OMAC or
and if
Revenge of
like
the Lawn.
this is an older edition of it, obviously, but and it's just and all of his books have a different lady on the cover. And I don't know if it's like a different girlfriend, but there's always a lady. Um, yeah, I love
I
it.
had a
I love
question
it.
for you, Whitney, and it's something that I don't know that you can quantify. Maybe you can. You're much smarter than I am. Has your writing changed in your soul, like in the soul of it, since you become a mother? Like you've
Oh,
been a mother
yes.
for like 13, 14 years now.
Yeah, yeah. Without a doubt, in many ways, I think in one way, because I'm conscious that this could be something my child is going to read in the future. But ultimately, I try not to let that get in the way. Um, yeah, I think I think I've always kind of written with a lot of heart, but more so for
Hmm.
sure. For sure. Yeah. What about you?
I think um, there's parts of it. Like there are parts of it like with Stray, definitely. Like it's definitely because it's so personal to me. Like it's about how I dealt with my father's death. So maybe if I die, they'll read it and they'll, oh, this is where he, blah blah blah. But there's not everything has to be a lesson, So I know that, but the idea that like when it was the best day of my life, really, as a creator, not as a father or as a person, but as a creator when my son, my daughter had already recognized Stray, like she knew who it was, but my son was never really a comic book guy. And so, like, when he looked at it and he could say the name and he knew who it was and he knew that it was mine and ours, basically, that was like, that made my day, like that made
Yeah.
my career, basically. So I think to a degree, but I know that it's like we were saying about who you're writing for. I don't write everything for them. Like, there's some things that I want to do that are a little more, I don't want to say racy, but a little more adult and a little more abrasive
Hmm.
that they might find entertaining when they're 18 years old, but I don't want to write it for them. I want to write it for, the sake of stretching legs and, flexing a muscle or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's sharpened all my senses. Oh, I just realized there is a copy of this book right at my
Oh, there it
desk.
is.
I feel
There it
it.
is. That's little me. We're talking about children. There's little Whitney right there
Um,
at nap time in kindergarten. And there's big Whitney at nap time at the
Wait,
studio.
are you wearing a
and-
striped shirt? You are wearing a striped shirt.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's right.
I'm
Two
the same.
times.
I haven't changed at all since I was
I
5.
and you can get Whitney's work from either following Whitney Matheson on Substack or Etsy, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's probably
Pulp
better
Candy
to
Press.
directly order from you.
Yeah, bypass
Um,
the fees.
so I have a question, and I actually have two things I wrote down that we haven't even gotten to yet. Um, but Whitney, I know you don't like to be negative, and I'm the same way. I'd rather turn you on than turn you off.
Yeah.
But but if you could say when you're walking into a bookstore, which you do regularly,
Yeah, every day almost.
now not only just to be surprised, but what are you looking for and what are you not looking for?
Wait, what am I? Oh, I was hoping you were going to ask me to trash something. Like,
I
what's the
did. What are you
worst?
not?
What's the worst
Well,
movie you've seen lately?
well, what are you not looking for in a book could imply trashing a certain kind of book.
Oh, what am I looking for? I don't know. I'm looking for whatever I'm. in the mood for. You sometimes I have a list. It depends what kind of bookstore too, because if it's a
Well,
used bookstore, I have a list of authors that I like to
okay.
look for. But what am I not looking for? Uh, well, I don't know. What do you mean, like genre or
Well,
like?
like what type of story? Like, or what are you fed up seeing a lot of right now that you wish?
I
Well,
feel
not.
like you're driving me toward a certain answer.
I don't.
I
I don't
don't.
have an answer in my
I don't
head.
like trauma kind of porn, and I don't like I mean trauma, like trauma novels, trauma memoir, like hard, yeah. And I don't
Do
know.
you specifically walk past a section because you know you're not going to find anything there?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not like a huge sci-fi fantasy person, although I
You're not.
read what?
You don't read genre. You don't read like horror, crime, western, sci-fi. You
Not
don't.
really, but sometimes I'm in the, I don't know, but sometimes I do like to know like what the conversation is. I will like look and see, and I used to love, like right now, my kid is really into Stephen King and reading it. And like, I used to love that stuff, but generally, I don't know. I wouldn't rule it out. But yeah, I no, and Western, I've never read Lonesome Dove. That's actually one of my thought goals for the year. You guys ever read
I've heard of
Lonesome
it.
Dove? Yeah,
You need
it's
to
supposed to
talk
be
to
the
Garth
best.
Ennis.
Oh yeah,
I,
he's a big.
Garth Ennis, huge. I've been to his. I mean, it was a while, many years ago, but I went to his apartment, and the thing that struck me about his apartment was it was wall to wall bookshelves, and every bookshelf was a Western, like a paperback
oh,
Western. Must be like hugest collection of Louis L'Amour books that I've ever seen.
yeah. I mean, I want to read different kinds of stuff, but yeah, I do
You get
know.
drawn
I
to a
know what I
certain
like.
thing, but you get drawn to. I mean, I guess when you're writing in a certain style, you might be studying that style a little bit, right? By
Sort of.
consuming it.
I mean, you gave me that cozy mystery that is so unlike anything I would ever read. Dean gave me this Golden Girls mystery novel.
I know which one you're talking about. The cheesecake, something cheesecake.
And I pre-ordered the second one.
And it was
Um,
really interesting. Like, yeah,
it's cool. It's a cool style of
yeah,
writing, you
it
know. So
is,
I
and it's
want you
easy
to
to
write a
read.
mystery. So, like, do you feel like you've ever written anything that was too revealing?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I think there's some stuff in the memoir that's pretty revealing. There's some stuff, well, too revealing. Like, what do
Well,
you
when
mean?
you
Like,
said
I'd
trauma,
regret it later?
when you said like trauma porn, and I feel like that's people spilling their guts and telling really horrific things often, right? Like about their lives, and that's really brave or whatever you want to call it. Do you feel like that's that you would ever go that far?
Oh, I mean, I've written about like hard stuff for sure. Like, I mean, I don't think I've written anything exploitative or anything, but yeah, I've written like about like depression and I mean I used to yeah, and I've written lots of personal stuff, which is I've never regret has only led me to like hearing great things from people, like that's
People
an
connect.
important thing to do. Yeah, it gives people something to connect
Yeah,
with.
I mean, the amount of times I'll post like, "Oh, you should check out my new one man anthology or my comic or my project or whatever," and I get some likes or whatever or some cheer, and that's amazing. But the minute I post something about like I wrote something today about something that happened yesterday that's really sad, and it made me really angry and sad, and that is people connect to that more, I think, to that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
yes, for sure. I mean, I just, well, particularly like online and on social media, I'm not a complainer. I think there's a line between like being open and vulnerable and talking about yourself and not just not veer into like social media comments where you're just
You're just
complaining
living
about stuff
online and just
and
yeah.
just yeah,
I
yelling
also
at
All
think
right.
that,
clouds.
as creators, we're a little more in touch with sentimentality and feelings in general. So our peer group is always going to kind of not attach themselves to it, but they'll find themselves in that kind of writing, So I had a question, and I don't know if this is easy to answer or not, but I'm going to ask it. And it is for Whitney, like if I were to ask your parents, I don't know if they're around or not, but if I were to ask your parents, what was Whitney's favorite book growing up? What would they say, and
Oh,
how different is that from what you're writing or what you're reading now?
oh gosh. I mean, I don't know what they would say. Babysitter's Club, or I don't know what they would say, but for sure, like I I was just, well, I grew up in a pretty small town, and so all I just watched an insane amount of TV. Like it was, I don't know if they could answer a favorite book, but they could for sure answer favorite bands and what TV shows did I worship, and all that stuff. And I think all of that like contributed, to my writing.
Mhm.
But the fact that like every summer I tell of this all the time, like every summer I would be home. My parents were teachers. I'd be home, and my mom and I would watch like 3 hours of soap operas every single day for 3 months in a row. Like,
That was me with my grandmother.
yep.
I have two questions for us that I wrote down for this show. And then do you still have a heart out in 4 minutes,
Yeah, I
Whitney?
do. Sorry. In a few
All right,
minutes.
let's try to be quick then. We have a new mayor now, Mamdani, right? Mayor Mamdani. And he got criticized for swearing to be mayor of New York City on the Quran rather than the Bible. Now, I'm not religious, but I was thinking for all of us, what book would you swear oath of office on?
Crisis on Infinite Earth.
That's what
It's
I
George Perez and Marv Wolfman. You can't lose.
thought. Whitney.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's such
I
a
mean, it
good
could be the Bible. It could be the
question.
Bible. It could be the Quran. It could be whatever. I don't know.
Uh, I mean, I'm thinking of like, there's this children's book called Sylvester and the Magic Pebble. Maybe that?
Love it.
What?
Do you know that one?
No, but I
No.
love that that's your answer. I'm going to look that up right after
It's
we go.
about, oh, it's so good. That was like one of my favorite children's books, and it's about this, he's a donkey, I think, Sylvester. And anyway, spoiler, he turns himself into a rock. And it's the best.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. My
Yeah.
initial answer is a little obvious that it probably would be a Jack Kirby, graphic collection or something like, I don't know, the Fantastic Four Galactus trilogy or OMAC or something like that. But I like that the spirit of when Whitney was talking about her Mount Rushmore, and not that it's my favorite movie, but if I was to pick a movie, there's something so classic about The Wizard of Oz, and the that it's never been remade because it's still perfect to this day, all these
Yes
years
and
later.
no. Wicked kind of remakes it, but not in the way that we're talking.
Yeah, but
Yeah, not
not
really.
yeah, not that story. But okay, and then my second question will be out soon. And I wrote this down. Were you to get hit by a car and had minutes to live, what's in your pocket or on your person that you would bequeath someone close to you as a goodbye gift, an heirloom of sorts,
You, oh,
and why?
it's an heirloom. Okay. Well, are you asking this because I like to have smooth, like marbles or smooth rocks in my pocket?
That's so sensual, Whitney. Your smooth
I
marbles
Smooth.
in your pocket.
like it. I like to have like yeah, like a shell. I always have like something in my.
I thought you were going to mention because she's like Bootsy Collins. She'll have every finger has a ring on it, and it's like
Yes.
a big plate of a ring or something. Like,
Oh, like on my person. I do have I wear my grandmother's. I'm not wearing them now because it's nighttime. I'm
Nighttime.
relaxing. But yeah, I wear my three of my grandmother's rings every day. Um, oh, it's so funny. I just
you have
I
minutes
have,
to live, minutes to live.
and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna give
What's on your
something.
person often? What's often on your person? Like, do you have marbles in your pocket? Do you have the rings on?
I always do. What is there something you're looking for that
Not at
you want
all.
me
I'm
to
just trying to
answer?
keep it
Oh,
constrained.
Oh, I mean that, or we're sitting at my desk and I have this thing. It's this tiny capsule and it's silver. And it came with a scroll in it. The idea is that you write like a wish, on a little piece of paper and you can put it in here and then you
Oh, that's
carry it
great.
around with you.
That's amazing.
So maybe, sure. I don't
So
know.
wait, you would have something written on it already, right?
Yeah, maybe.
All right,
Yeah, I felt like I need to start. This could
right.
replace my marble.
And then Vito, I want you to answer yours, and then I have one more thing.
No,
Sorry.
I'll answer it after because I know Whitney's got to go. So
Well, no, but Whitney wants to hear your answer,
I do, yeah.
and I have an answer, a quick
I
answer.
don't carry anything but my cell phone, my wallet, and my earbuds. So who wants
Anything
my
in your
wallet?
wallet.
There's
Anything
nothing
in
in my
your
wallet.
wallet.
Like, you know what's in my wallet that matters? I have a list of things that I always wanted to do with Michelle, like take her, like places to take
Oh,
her. I would bequeath that to my kids, I guess.
that's
Oh my gosh,
beautiful.
that's really sweet.
That's the best thing ever.
For
That,
the next
that
time I
what
see you, I'm gonna give you a smooth rock to carry around, Vito.
At least.
and Whitney's gonna write that story. um, I just looked in my wallet, and I have the only thing I think that's of value in a way is that this picture of me and my brother,
Aw, yeah.
which is like
That's so
weird.
sweut.
And it's funny because I was actually thinking, well, I carry these keys every day, and one thing on my
That
key
is
that's
too
When did
many
you become a
keys.
janitor?
Yeah,
I know, I know.
that is too many keys.
So there's this. I don't know if you can see this ring, and
Yeah,
it's an M with a little devil tail on it.
that's a
And
zodiac
this was
symbol,
in
isn't it?
my, huh?
I think that's a zodiac symbol. I can't remember which one it is.
Oh, maybe it is, but it was in my brother's desk when after he passed away, my mother was grabbing stuff. And I don't even know if he ever wore this because I asked his friends. I was like, "Did he wear this ring?" They're like, "I never saw that ring." So I've kept it on my person ever since my brother passed away 20 years now or whatever it is.
Oh,
So,
It's either Virgo or Scorpio.
oh, he's a Scorpio.
Well, there you go.
oh.
There you
Yeah,
go.
with the
That's what I'm
tail.
saying.
Yeah, that's a Scorpio.
So it's a Scorpio that said M because my brother's name is Michael, And then one last maybe show and tell, and I know it's an audio podcast as well as visual, and you got to go to sleep or whatever. Stamps.
Oh, my
Whitney,
stamps.
you bought stamps today.
I love
You want to
stamps.
share me your stamps?
Oh my gosh. Hold on, I'll go get them in the other room.
Okay.
Get excited, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay.
Get excited, talk amongst yourselves. That's the best advice ever.
So Vito, we're gonna go another
Yeah, another 30.
okay, cool.
Here goes my delete blood cancer when Seth was
Oh, I have that.
Kushner was in hospital. I
I
became a
think I have that
blood
too.
donor.
Yep. Is that this?
Yeah, same exact
I
one.
got it too. The same thing. We both did that.
Okay, sadly,
Okay.
I do have to run after this because,
Yes.
children need to go
Yes.
to bed and take showers and all this stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so Casey's Rubber Stamps, it's one of my favorite stores. It's in the East Village. There's an old man named Casey. In the 70s, he opened a store because his lifelong dream was to just make rubber stamps and sell them to the public. And today, he still does it. Although
Yep.
it seems like an army of young interns really do all the work for him. So I've gotten many stamps there. Today, I happen to be in the East Village and I got 3 more stamps. This is the big scoop you're getting on your podcast after a year. Number 1 stamp. It's a fly.
Ooh,
Okay,
a fly.
that's a good
And
one.
what do you
And
do with these stamps? What are you
well,
doing with these
often
stamps?
when I sell books, I do a stamp
Yeah,
inside the
usually
book
do.
and sign it. Um, if whatever, if you order something from me, I'll stamp something. Okay, number 2 is footsteps.
Oh, that's totally up your alley. That's
Yeah,
that's
totally.
totally Whitney.
And then number
Yep.
3, you're not going to be able to see what this is, so I'll have to tell you. And it's not going to be as impressive to you as it is to me. Can you see what that is?
Is that a shirt?
Folded shirt.
It's a
A
shirt.
folded shirt?
It's a
Come
folded shirt.
on. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? A folded shirt. May I have a stamp of a folded shirt, please? In the color red. Oh
Anyway,
my God.
well, last
That's
time, remember, I
hilarious.
got pants. I have a pants
I know
stamp.
you have pants now, you have a
Yeah.
shirt. I know. I know. Pants, feet, a shirt. You're gonna have a whole person soon, like cufflinks. Ay, ay, ay.
Oh
Well,
man,
Whitney, thank you. I don't know if anybody has
thank
a drink
you.
to cheer our 1 year with Whitney.
Here's my water bottle. Thank you.
Water bottle. Cheers.
Congratulations, guys, on the
Thank you.
year.
Thank
Mm.
you very much, Whitney. We love you.
And just
Love
I
you.
guess you can talk amongst yourselves and I feel like there were
Yes.
other things I
Yes.
wanted to talk about. Maybe I would love
Oh, was it? Can
to
you think
reappear
of?
sometime. Well, I gotta go.
All right. All
I
right.
got
Oh,
Nighty night.
life stuff. Sorry.
Sweet dreams.
But yeah, okay. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
good
That was
night,
very
Whitney.
sweet. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
She's the
How about
best.
that, huh?
She's the
She's the
best.
best.
Um, so funny enough, I was looking in my wallet. I found the list of things. It's actually a list of things that I wanted to give Michelle as a gift. Not
Ah,
not you, but
it's the same idea.
boxing at Madison Square Garden, art gallery, like those are all on there.
Nice.
But
Nice.
look at this here. This is
Get
Rick
closer.
Marty's business card.
In your wallet?
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny. Like I was noticing other stuff in my wallet. I was like, what the hell's going on in my wallet? Like you forget the things that you pick up and then
Oh
you like
yeah.
I have the Russian Turkish bathhouse pass, which might be outdated right now. I have a Teamsters local 237 in case I get pulled over by the cops. I
Yeah.
know somebody. This guy, my man Ruben,
Ruben.
it's the best. Went to high school with him. New Jersey Policemen's Benevolent Association. That might be Officer White, I think gave me that,
Hmm.
or I can't remember. Anyway, my brother. I mean, it's crazy what we keep in our wallets. Oh, look at this. This is say DINO's Wonder Wheel, Coney Island. I guess when you go to Coney Island, you got to get a card now. Everything's on
Yeah, yeah.
plastic. Um, what else I got? Oh, this is weird. So you see this at all? It's like hairstyle and lips.
Is that Wendy Chin's?
No, this is Whitney Matheson. Oops.
Ah,
Oh, come on. This is Whitney's. Oh, it's so blurry. Sorry, guys.
no, I
Um, anyway, and then some doctor cards and then some promotional things. So anyway, not too much. So that was a great conversation. I'm
yeah.
glad we got Whitney on, and she could be like our third person,
Mhm.
every time. It'd be easy,
Yeah.
Um, and what I didn't want to talk about while she was on was what happened yesterday. Did you have thoughts and
Well,
feelings?
in a sense, I have to say this, like us, anybody that's been watching for the past couple of weeks knows that I'm not in the bathroom office that I usually am. I'm in Long Island at my mom's house. So yesterday I took a trip to Brooklyn and I went and hung out with Dean Whitney and Doug Latino, and we all just hang out, my family and I. And then we took Dean in the car. We drove to Staten Island and we went to JHU Comics, where we saw Ron and Nick and my friend Chris and a bunch of other people at the store. Like the store is pretty busy, and it was just it was the best way I could put it is if this had been last year, like in December, it would have been the best day of the year, And so it was, like everything coming now after has to compare to yesterday because it was such a great day. Like all my like friends, my family were all together and stuff. And so you can imagine my spirits are elevated and like we're driving back to Long Island and we're all like Michelle and I were talking and like we're just like excited, it was just like being home and how much we miss being here and all that stuff. And then, to come home and then to see what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, I should say. And it's just like, how? Like, number one, no idea what was going on all day because I was so focused on my day.
Because it happened earlier in the day, and then actually Nick Purpura
Yeah,
did mention something. He's like, "Do you hear about the shooting?" And I'm so used to hearing about shootings. In fact,
right,
there was one. You can't hear the helicopters out there, but there was a shooting in a hospital a few blocks away
right.
because a guy in the hospital pulled out a knife and cops shot him. Well, so we're talking about the Minnesota shooting. ICE shooting an innocent woman,
Right.
and we'll get to that in a second. But then, did you hear about Portland?
No, but
There's another shooting.
of course.
Now, I don't know if it's ICE proper, but two more people got shot in Portland. that were like, I don't know if it was an immigration thing or something,
Mhm.
but the thing that's so I got home. No, I didn't get home. You dropped me off at the
Right.
studio. I got to the studio. I checked my email. I go online, and I've been trying to avoid the news in general. But
Mhm.
I watch my local news, and then you'll get some of the bigger news. But everyone was talking about this thing that happened. I was like, let me go check out what happened. And I watched this video, which is a very simple video. It's not even gruesome. It's just horrific when you think about what
Right.
happened, what you're watching. Um, it broke me, Vito.
Do you understand? You know what's really crazy about that video is I just watched Chinatown, and the end of Chinatown, this the Faye Dunaway's character is driving off, trying to get away, and like the cops shoot her, and the car stops in the middle of the road. And so when I saw this, like until I saw the car stop, like I thought everything was just like it was just smoke and mirrors kind of thing, you know? And it's like, whoa, like that just like it dawned on me. I was like, oh my God, I'm watching a movie. You know,
Mm,
like and
mm.
it's I I was sharing a bunch of stuff last night about it on Facebook. Um and then at some point today I shared a couple things and then I was like, I can't be angry all day. I gotta share something that's funny, you know, just for 5 seconds, just to like make sure I'm not falling down that hole. But man, I saw it and I like because I didn't see it until we got home around 8. And then what we
Yep.
had, like we dropped the kids off because we had to go to the grocery store to grab something. So we dropped the kids off. So I didn't see it till probably about 8:30. And
Sure.
I saw it on Reddit and then I shared it with Michelle. And then it was the only thing I could see on Reddit. And then I was like, oh man, this is a lot. So then I went to Facebook and it was the only thing I could see on Facebook. And I'm like, I gotta get off the internet. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
so
went down a rabbit hole of like, I kept trying to think, wait, did I just see what I saw? Because it didn't make sense. And then the
right.
thing that, so there's the horror of what happened, but there's the other horror, which is I hate to say it, is a bigger horror, is that the spin on it, and then the fact that we're living in a world right now of total lying.
Yeah.
It is, I don't even know if I should turn on the news. I mean, there are stations I watch that, maybe partisan to the way I think and feel about life.
Mhm.
Okay, I understand that you can put on another channel and they'll think the other way, and
Right.
see it as that she's a domestic terrorist. How is this possible, Vito?
I have to at least give partial blame to the guy in the White House who started the phrase fake news. Once you say something is fake, you can say everything is fake. And then what you're doing then is you're saying that, well, this is fake, but this is real. So you can parse the thing.
But and I hear everything you're saying, but what the difference to me was like, here is literal video, untouched video evidence of a person backing up. She was probably freaking out.
Mhm.
Okay. It was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. She probably came upon a street that was invading somebody's house, had nothing to do with her that I know of,
Right.
you know? And and there, I think other cars were trying to get away or just drive around the situation.
Mhm.
And she had parked, somehow got sideways. And then these untrained people who signed a $50,000 bonus because they get to see them, America, we're the Punisher with the big guns, we get to go, we're not even good enough to be cops. Okay. Sorry. That's how I feel. And that's what I think happens here. And then they go and they have authority and they can point guns at people and then shoot them. And you don't even shoot at a moving car. And it was barely moving when he did shoot her 3 times, apparently in the head
In the
or
face. Yeah.
in the face. Okay. And then why? Because she was backing up and moving and getting out of there? Like, or if she was even some kind of a threat that was escaping, you don't shoot them in the face 3 times.
Yeah.
Who is this person? And who are these people that are masked? Cops are not masked.
Mhm.
Okay.
They wear body cam because they have to be responsible for their actions. Whether, like there's also the manipulation of body cam footage to where they shut it off during, like the Luigi Mangione case, possibly getting thrown out.
Right.
because there is a period of time where their cameras are off and
Right.
they're doing illegal searches and stuff like that. So
Well, that guy that they killed, these cops killed a guy, beating him up to death in a prison situation, I believe, where they turn off their cameras. So
right.
yeah, it happens all the time.
But I mean the idea behind that is for um, kind of like self-reporting, like being uh, reportable to some higher authority. Um, and the murder's bad. It's awful. But the worst part about it is because this is a quote unquote government agency. I say quote unquote because anything that this guy has created just seems to be tainted by him. Um, they are now directing the FBI to not cooperate with the investigation. That's the worst part because again, as I was saying in the car with you last night, which no one else was, privy to, obviously, but as I was saying to you, like I don't want him to die. I want him to face justice. I want all of these people to face justice. And the the methodology is leading me to believe they'll never face justice because they keep changing the rules. And they're only changing the rules to apply to them, but we all have to follow the rules. And like it's like the greatest, and I say this with a grain of salt, but the best part about this is that this woman was white because when this is a black person getting shot by a cop or anything like that, it's there's outrage, but there's not the outrage that it is when it's a white person. Because again, like my socials were just nonstop, and it's like, and then while I was looking at my stuff, I'm looking at black content creators talking about how like black people don't get involved, like don't protest, don't do it, like just you know this is what like the unfortunate thing is we'll talk about it, we'll say stuff, but we cannot put ourselves in the situation to, and I 100% agree, to be out there and have my face shot,
Well,
um,
when she got killed, an innocent person, American citizen, who probably got a little spooked and was going to split, right? Just get out of town, get out of
single
there.
a mother of a
A
single
mother.
child. I believe her husband was just died recently.
Yeah, I think so. And
So
but when she died, when she got killed, we are now in that we got killed. Do you know
yep.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like all of us. And in terms of black people or other, like the other thing I could think about was we live in a surveillance society right now where people thank God
Yeah.
innocent bystanders have phones too as well, right?
Mhm.
Just recorded. That's the only way we know what we know, because otherwise we just know the spin, right? And then all I can think about is the amount of innocent people that were killed without surveillance,
Yeah.
where cops just said, "Oh, that's how it happened. Sorry," and then nobody blinks, and then that's how it happened. Like the amount of people that have over the years since the beginning of time, it's awful what I think about, because at least she had a camera on her,
Hmm.
right? For us to not only seek justice, but also it's really heavy because uh, it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
It's going to happen again. It's going to be spun, and this is the thing. It's a lie. Everyone knows it's a lie. They know it's a lie.
Hmm.
They know it's a lie.
The dude booked out of there after it happened. You don't
Yeah,
know, every cop knows, and I'm not even a cop, and I know this. Every cop knows that when a gun is discharged, you have to stay on site for oversight.
right.
Somebody like your captain or somebody comes, you get questioned. Like initially, by whoever the commanding officer is. You have to, stick trauma. Like you guys will sit in the back of an ambulance because they're going through trauma training and all that stuff. For this guy to just walk, that means he did it in cold blood. He didn't care who he killed. And it was just they're trying to escape the law. This is the craziest week I have ever experienced in my life.
Well, between Venezuela oil
Yeah, like
and
that's
letting
1 week.
out a drug czar or whoever the hell he was that with cocaine, you're taking you're kidnapping a president of one country for selling drugs just because you really want their oil,
Right.
and then you let out a guy in prison who's a drug lord of some sort,
Hmm.
and then you're one ICE agent. I won't say all ICE, although I don't like ICE at all. But at least one ICE agent is killing an innocent person.
There,
Getting away with it? No.
if there was any kind of morality on the ICE agent's part, there would be mass quitting, like mass resignations. Like, I can't stand for this to happen. We're killing Americans now. Like but you haven't heard anything about that, have you? Because it's not going to happen.
Well,
Because
so this is the thing I fear, as I fear the tanks rolling down the streets, right, and becoming this fascist society. Again, I don't think they have a game plan for that, like because I don't think people are just going to cower and go, okay, we'll do whatever you say. I don't
right,
think that's what's going to happen.
right,
But so, what is the game plan? And then all I can count on, I think, is not even our politicians, but our army. I think at some point our army has to say, "Fuck you."
right.
You're not telling us we're not doing this shit anymore.
Well, keep in mind, let's go back a couple of months where they were told that they have to follow orders no matter what. And so Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, who's now, I think, they've taken away his military pension or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Like,
getting screwed.
and a couple of things, and they were talking about court martial a couple of months ago, because he said that is not what it's in your charter. Your charter says if you feel like an order is in violation of human rights or in violation of your oath to your country, you do not have to follow that order. Look, man, I'm not in the military, but I mean, I know this stuff already. Like, how is this? It's not it's not cool what's happening. It's just not. Like, I just can't, like, today I like very weirdly, I was just like kind of not energized, but I was just kind of like getting that kind of righteous anger in me. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I got to get this stray anti-fascist comic out sooner rather than later, because
Yeah,
like at least it'll say where it'll say something. And
prioritize.
so
Yeah.
I'm working like to the point where you'll find this funny in light of everything we're saying. To the point where I was like, I need somebody to ink. I texted Matt Major. I was like, I need somebody to ink this. I need somebody to ink this right now. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I know a lot of artists that have started out as inkers. I was like, shut up. I am not inking this. Because
No,
you're
no,
trying to
no,
get me to ink it. And I'm like,
no.
you must be out of your mind.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I no, I mean, I have been listen, I'm not going to get into it, but it's I my both my parents are have different states of ailments,
Mhm.
okay? And it's really hard for me to talk to my dad, right? Like a lot of the time. And I after you dropped me off, within a half hour, I probably saw this nightmare,
Mhm.
and I got so upset that I started crying. And I don't know her, and whatever, it doesn't matter. I have empathy, and I
Mhm.
also starting to realize, oh my God, this is all of us, right?
Mhm.
And not because she's a white woman, okay, but because she's super innocent and
And
did like nothing.
she's American.
And
Like
right, an
she's
American.
not.
And I called up my dad, who I don't call, and he could hear in my voice that I was, and he was like, "What is wrong? What is wrong?" Kind of
Mhm.
thing. And I called my dad, and the reason why I called him is because I'm convinced he's angrier than I am about stuff.
Yeah.
And I needed somebody who was angrier than me. And then after I talked to my dad, I realized, oh, that's my mom.
Right.
So anyway, and I did talk to her today, and they were being parental, which is, my mom's usually parental. My dad, sure. Uh, but I
He
don't
has his
know.
moments.
He has his moments, and
Yeah.
I felt like a kid again. I felt
Mhm.
like a kid again,
You
and
know,
it
you know
didn't
what
help.
you probably felt like. I don't mean to get into your head or anything like that, but you probably felt like when you were a kid. I mean, you were a little bit older than me, so I don't think that would be it. But um, John Lennon, like here's somebody that like you probably knew of. Maybe you didn't listen to a lot of Beatles music. I'm sure your parents probably
I
listened,
like the Beatles.
you know what I mean? But like, and you're just like, how does somebody do this to somebody that made people happy? There's a woman
Yeah.
who had stuffed animals in her glove compartment of her car. She's clearly making somebody happy. She's clearly the only one making this person happy. And like, how do you do this to someone? How do you do this to another human being? I mean, like, I don't mean to sound obvious, you know, like the
How did that guy look at this blonde chick?
yeah,
We've all seen her now, and decide, oh, I need to shoot her in the face because she's going to drive away from us now. Like, what kind of human being, and then forget the individual, whatever, maybe he's regretting everything that happened.
mhm,
Okay. And then we have not an administration, we have a regime,
yeah,
okay, that is trying to spin it like that she's the bad guy.
mhm.
Anyway, we're just probably reiterating what everybody else that's listening to us also thinks. And
Yeah,
this won't be up till, for a bunch of days, but
yeah, and
still.
it's Monday now that people are watching this, and like it's probably gotten worse. I doubt that it's gotten better by the time this is posted.
We need to talk about, and again, it's not about white, black, gay, straight, whatever. It's just that literally this is an American person like the rest of us. And I'm not even going to get into like how ICE is kicking out all our quote immigrants,
Right.
like, oh, and guess what? Our president's like, well, guess what? We don't have crime anymore because crime is only done by immigrants.
Right.
You know that, right? According to him.
Well, apparently it's also done by the government agencies, but you know,
Right.
what
That's
do I
right.
know?
Right.
But and that's the thing. Like, I don't agree with their immigration policy to begin with, because there's no due process involved in it. But the idea that you had people that maybe their immigration status was questionable, that
Mm-hmm.
were kind of in hiding and running scared. Kind of sounds like Jews during Nazi Germany, hiding and stuff. But you're killing an American citizen. Like, you're not doing even what you were hired to do.
Right.
And this isn't. And apparently, I saw somewhere that um, this is like the sixth shooting that ICE has been involved in. So they're still not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like, you're not supposed to be killing people. You're not supposed to be using deadly force. Like, it's
Yeah.
always deadly force is supposed to be a last resort.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's so number one, to put weapons in these guys' hands is a mistake, number one. But number two, if they've gone through the training and stuff, they would know that that's not supposed to be their first response. She got tires, shoot the tires out. What's wrong
That's
with
what my mom said. Like, shoot a tire, get out the way.
He aimed
Everyone is.
into the windshield of, and when the windshield went past him, he aimed into the open window. Like, dude, that's deliberate. Like, you shot into the windshield and then you shot into the window. There's no defense. There's no defense. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that anymore. What I do want to talk about is I picked up a couple of comics yesterday at the comic store. Some of them are old, but they were new to me. Number one, I picked Batman and Deadpool, which I had read the Batman and Deadpool story, but I was pleasantly surprised by. I mean, I really enjoyed. Obviously, if you know me, I enjoyed the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo, Wolverine and Nightwing story.
So we're talking about the second of the Deadpool Batman,
This is This is the
stunts, let's
DC
call it.
published.
Yeah, the DC, and the lead story is written by Grant Morrison with Dan Mora drawing, right?
Yes.
And what's really cool, I have no idea how Dan Mora does what he does. I don't know how he does it.
And fast, because he does
fast.
well, he's a traditional, I guess. But so this one, obviously, I was going to enjoy this. It was his
Right.
Sticks and Snicks, which
Right.
is by the acclaimed Nightwing team of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. But and I hate to say this, the John Constantine and Doctor Strange team up was amazing.
I have not read any of the. I read the main story. I haven't read the the
Right.
backups, as it were.
Yeah, this
And
one was done. The art was done by Hayden Sherman, who does Absolute Wonder Woman,
mm,
which the art is just phenomenal. I mean, the only thing that I cringe about with this story is that it was written by three writers, but
oh,
the three writers are phenomenal. It
you
was
mean three writers
James
for one
Tinian.
story?
Yeah, what's that?
Three writers for one story?
Yeah, James Tinian, Joshua Williamson, and Scott Snyder. I mean, I'm
For
sure
what, a 5-pager or something?
it's like six, yeah, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's weird. Maybe somebody had an idea, somebody fleshed it
plotted, and
out,
then
somebody did the
someone
dialogue or something.
right.
Yeah. Okay.
But the other book I picked up, I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's not supposed to be anything but fun. That's what exactly.
Right. Right.
I'm looking forward to the Superman Spider-Man one that's coming out. I think 2 months from
Right.
now.
Right.
I picked this up on your recommendation, and it's funny. This is called Hank Howard Pizza Detective: The Two Hollywoods. It's done by Robert Venditti and David Lapham. You handed this to me only because of the format of the
The
book
format. That's right.
and the paper stock and everything, which is phenomenal. It's beautiful. Really cool Frank Quietly image on the back. The book wasn't that great. It's
Oh,
literally about a pizza detective. I don't understand. Like it's funny, but
well, I mean, I can do something with Pizza Detective, I
looks
think.
beautiful.
You could.
David Lapham has not lost a step since Stray Bullets, and he's done many stuff in between. It looks just like a Stray Bullets book, but my goodness, I don't get why a pizza detective, like he's
Okay.
investigating pizza. Like
Okay.
what's going on? Like
Well,
how?
now I got to read it.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
and then the
But the
last
reason
one,
why I handed it to you is because I kept thinking you're because you have like 6 comics you are hoping to publish this
right?
year. I thought that would be Pray for the Devil. Is that the title?
Pay the devil.
Pay the Devil.
Mhm.
That maybe you could do that in that format,
Yeah, and
because it's
then
kind of a grassroots, kind of cheap, pulp style, black and white pulp.
yeah, but it's done by Bad Idea, so there's nothing cheap about it. It just looks cheap. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
it looks cheap, right?
And then you handed me this guy, which is All Time Comics #1, Crime Destroyer, which is done by Josh Bayer, Herb Trimp, and Benjamin Mara. This is an old book. This is from 2017. Funny enough, Josh drew a little image in
Oh,
there.
look at that! You
Yeah.
got a little visual art in there.
So yeah, like that was fun. Like it's definitely like blaxploitation meets grindhouse cinema type of book.
I mean, total like it would be like a power pulp comic. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I probably could have sat there and bought like a million books,
Right.
but I was like, you know
It's
what?
so hard because one of the things that happened, it was great to see Nick Purpura and Ron Hill, and God bless Ron Hill's doing better with his health. And I haven't really been in a comic shop in a while, and it was great to go to their comic shop, JHU Comics in Staten Island. Not only because of the family aspect, but also because one of the best shops in the world. But and they have everything, and they have really good sections. But there's that wall, Vito.
Mhm.
I was talking to Nick and maybe even you in the car or whatever, or at the store, like, trying to figure out how we can get back up on the wall with your comics, my comics, and how does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Does it get lost? And it's a bigger conversation. But like, oh my God, it's so daunting because like not only do you have to come up with a cover that'll pop, and sure it could pop, but so does that cover 2 comics away from it,
Yeah.
like, and it doesn't stop because everyone is vying for your attention. And that's just a cover alone. I had a conversation with Dan Goldman today because he's trying to, he was showing me a cover for Red Light Properties because he has his big tome, right, that he
Mhm.
published, but he's doing new ones,
Right.
new stories that could be comic book size, right? And we were talking about what makes a cover, and how would that pop on a stand, a newsstand? Forget your table at a show, in not a newsstand, a comic shop,
Mhm.
like, and I almost gave up comics, in some way because of looking at that wall alone.
See, I looked at that wall differently, and I don't look at it as daunting. I look at it as aspirational in a sense. Like when I feel it's maybe just me, but I feel like you might be able to relate to this. When you're first starting out and you're like, this is my vocation, this is what I want to do. All I want to do is I want to put out a book. And then the book goes on the shelf. Look, man, I looked for obviously I looked to see if they had Stray, and they had both trades. So, like that made me happy, that they're still there. Um, there's so much that like is there, and like it's easy to lose Stray within Stray Bullets and Superman because it's like T and U, and so so it's very easy to get lost. But the other thing too is that we're the destination. You know what I mean? Like we are the destination for people to find. So if someone's looking for Stray, they can find it right there. They just
No,
have
but
to.
that's if they're looking. If they're looking, I'm talking about the spontaneous, impulse buying.
I don't know that that exists. Like everything happens through word of mouth anyway. You know what I mean? Like comics are never going to be, with the exception of like the Batman
But
Deadpool,
there's a discovery aspect to going into anything, to any store.
I
And,
suppose.
and like I discovered things, and I was like, oh, what's this or what's that?
Right.
And then I would look at it and then I was like, okay, I'll put it back down or whatever. Or like this is issue 19. Like, how dare anybody publish issue 19 of anything anymore? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, are you crazy?
Can I be honest too? Like like completely honest and like shoot myself in the foot. I also picked up the DC and Marvel kind of like the preview books, like the free, giveaway that, you see
Yep.
what's coming out in a couple months. And boy, nothing interests me.
See?
Nothing like, and these are Marvel and DC. Now,
Hmm.
like I said, I am interested in the Superman, Spider-Man, but it's from the spectacle aspect of it. It's not because I want to buy, and I love the Matt Fraction Batman. I love anything that Wade's doing over at DC. Like
Right.
it's
So
entertaining.
that's where you're buying the creator, right? Like you're
Right,
following the creator.
right.
But like,
But
and the
again,
reason why Spider-Man and Superman makes sense is because it's kind of appealing to the one-shot aspect.
yes,
Like
it's
you
and
don't
but
have
it's
to get issue 19 of that. You just have to get one issue of that,
and it's also like I said, it's a spectacle. It's a thing that's just
Yeah.
happening, once in a blue moon. It's not going to be a regular thing. I mean, they'll probably put out Daredevil and Aquaman in a couple of months or whatever, but like it's still going to be a spectacle no matter what. Um,
Right.
Marvel just like I look through those Marvel titles and I'm like, there's nothing here for me. Like, and it's
Yeah.
not like I'm had aged out of some of the wonder of it. It's just that it's just it just seemed flat. I'm like, I don't know what they're publishing.
Yeah.
And after as I was reading these last night, um, I actually sat there like after I finished. I looked at the DC one, and then I looked at the Marvel one, and I put them both down. I was like, why am I trying to compete with them? I,
No.
you know what I mean? I do what they do sometimes in a way better than they do. You know what I mean? Like I just need to do it more often. That's the
Hmm.
only difference between me and Marvel and
It's the
DC.
velocity of DC and
Right,
Marvel, right? Like, and it's impressive because wow, how are you cranking out a monthly comic, guys?
right.
That's insane, right? Like anymore. I mean, I love the Absolute Martian Manhunter,
Yeah.
because it to me it's an anomaly, like,
Mhm.
and I picked up some books as you know as well, but like I too, I maybe I have aged out. I mean, I'm 58, man. Like I should have aged out, right? Like, and so getting one shots or annuals or projects or graphic novels,
Mhm.
is should be more appealing to me than issue 19 of a series or even the spectacle stunt thing that's happening. And sometimes I get those because they curated some good talent
Yes.
and maybe it'll be fun, a stupid little thing,
Yeah.
like Ryan Reynolds style, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, but yeah, no, these comics are not for us, Vito, and they
No,
and they haven't been for years.
but then let's agree to agree on that. But what I'm saying is I shouldn't I shouldn't downplay the I shouldn't downplay my position in this industry. Do you know what I mean? The only thing separating my work from DC and Marvel is frequency, and that's it. I think my stories are, possibly as good, if not better. I think my art team is as good, if not better. I think my covers are as good, if not better. So if I have all those three things, the only thing I'm lacking in is frequency. So that kind of played into the other part of the Beast Within last night when I was like, I got to ink this book, I got to get this.
Oh, I mean that's because that's a timely thing, the beast within.
True,
Like to me,
true.
that's also like you need to, as a creator, you can social media all day long as much as you want, but because you're a creator and an artist, you need to have your art out there saying this, the thing, the statement.
Yes,
It's a statement.
yes.
Um, And it's funny because like I've been looking at my art lately, and all I think about is like, oh my God, I cannot compete with any of modern comics whatsoever.
Mhm.
And why am I? Lean into the fact that Dean, you're an 80s guy. You're a 1980s alternative comic book artist. You
Mhm.
know, like, and somehow you snuck into Marvel and DC, and you've done some Vertigo stuff, and you've done tons of other things. And yeah, you have an Emmy and a Ringo, and you're just an alternative. You've always been an alternative guy. You've never been a mainstream guy. You
Right.
know, like that's what I have to lean into and just be okay with that, and then explore that route more in terms of my into Dean years. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's like stop trying to be a mainstream guy. You're not.
Oh,
I'm not.
I've never wanted to be. When I got into comics, I didn't want to do Marvel and DC. I think I've told you this before. Like I wanted to do my Mercury Chronicles and that was it. And then I dropped that, for doing Stray because Stray just seemed more palatable to an audience, like instead of like a Golden Age pastiche. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but moving forward from that, um, let's end on this note. It's been a year. Have we learned anything?
Wow. I
I'll
think we're
answer that
always
first.
learning. We're always learning, and we know
Yeah,
what we're doing is we're confirming.
that's a good idea. That's a good way to put it. I think I was going to say like I'll answer that. For me, um, I've learned number one that I have a threshold that I want to cross that I've never considered crossing before, which is drawing my own comics. I've learned that in talking with you weekly, it's not just a therapeutic type of discussion, but it's cathartic in a way that I think that neither one of us was expecting, um, confirming a lot of what our philosophies, individual or shared, about comic creating are, and is. And I learned that, like no matter, especially like driving in, it's so funny. We drove in a car yesterday for a couple hours, total. We hung out at a comic store. We barely talked at the comic store, funny enough, but we hung out, and yet we're still on the call today talking about the
That's
same stuff
right.
we were talking about yesterday. So
That's
I learned that no matter what, I can talk to Dean about anything, basically.
right back at you, man. And it's effortless. Like,
Yeah,
and I have other people I can talk effortlessly to, but I'm not doing a podcast with. And
right.
I don't think in 52 episodes I've ever been worried about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, same. Like it's funny, like there are times where I just don't have a topic and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I should tell Dean that I watched Casablanca, whatever it is.
Yeah. Right.
And it's like, and that just is an hour conversation, you
But
know?
also I think what the thing that recommends our parlay a little bit for other people to listen to is that we are also aware that we put things in context. I think that's important. We try to explain things. You say a title, like or whatever, and then we try to make it available for other people to relate to,
Mhm.
and because we're trying to relate to other people as well as
Sure.
ourselves,
Yeah.
and I think if we're going to be aware that that's what the awareness is, and I think that's important because a lot of podcasts I feel becomes a lot of people just talking, the two people talking to themselves only, and
Mhm.
that's fair and that's honest and authentic, you know. But I think in the future, what I told you, I think last episode, I've been listening to the podcast I did with Josh Neufeld
Mhm. Scene by scene.
and scene by scene, and I haven't heard it in 4 years, 5 years, right? Which is enough distance and time. And I'm loving it. I'm
Mhm.
revisiting Josh at a time. And what's crazy is, and I guess this comes with age, is I'll hear us talking about something, and Josh will start to answer something, and in my head I have what I would say, and then I say it in the recording.
I do that with this show. I can listen to an episode like episode 4 or something, and
Right,
I answer you or whoever we're talking to
right.
the same exact way in my head.
And I like the consistency of that. It doesn't mean that we haven't grown as
Mhm.
human beings or artists. It just means that we've arrived at a place where we kind of know ourselves a little
Right.
bit,
That's
for
an
better or for
that's an
worse.
interesting way to put it too.
So
I do have an announcement. It's a slight announcement. It's not very big. It's only big to the people that watch and listen. Um, I've decided to kill the Oathbound idea,
Oh,
but
I meant to ask you about that.
yeah, I've decided to kill it as we were doing it. But I've decided that I came up with another concept, and I was like, what am I going to call this? And it's basically Challengers of the Unknown. And I decided to call it the Oathbound.
So, real quick, just because I know we want to wrap this up,
Yeah.
explain what the Oathbound was, because even I was a little confused by it. But go
So
ahead.
the hope for Oathbound was we would create a comic on the channel, like on the podcast, and I wanted to try to get as many diverse voices, art wise, writer wise, whatever, to kind of show how basically I would show run a story, or how I would work with another writer, or how I would work with you and
And you
another.
want to show the process of creativity,
Right.
and
And
like on camera.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for the few episodes that we did that on, like we did, I think we're successful in some ways.
I tried something.
But as I kept on, thinking about it and looking at the ideas and stuff, it's like the problem that this has, and this is going to be very funny to say in retrospect, but the problem that that idea has is that it doesn't have a consistent voice, which
Mhm.
I know is counterintuitive to what I was trying to do. I know that, now, and I knew that then. But the whole thing was, I think it came from a very honest place, and I think that killing it comes from another, like the same, if not a different, honest place in my
But
head.
that's part of the creativity. Like
Right.
you're showing creativity right now. You're saying how what doesn't work. And in a way, you're also talking about a showrunner, the idea of
Yeah.
a showrunner, to have something of a vision. And then you tap people to do aspects of that vision,
Mhm.
to add to the vision. And it's like Avengers Assemble,
Yeah.
you're assembling, creators to kind of come up with a singular idea somehow.
Yeah. And like I said, like I think it came from a good place. I think it came from an earnest place. Like, in terms of, why we haven't talked about it and why, I decided to kill it entirely. It just, like I said, like, I think it really suffered from the fact that I was trying to get 6 or 7 voices when it really needs one. And then, from there, it would need to be, kind of
And I
curtailed.
like your challenges of the unknown kind of,
Yeah. Like that, like I
person.
would coming up with an idea in the shower one day, and I was like, all right, so this is kind of like how it works, and this is, like the framing sequence of it, and like this is how I'm going to work it into Strayverse if I need to, but not necessarily. And I was like, well, what do I call them? And so I was in the shower just trying to brainstorm names, and I'm like, I already have the name. Like that's the name right there. So
Hmm. Okay, well, we'll continue to play.
yeah,
All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap this up. 1 year
yes,
anniversary. Cheers.
one
And
year down.
actually, this is from New Orleans.
Oh,
Catherine
hey,
Forrest got me some hot sauce.
you gonna drink that?
No, I'm gonna cheer to you.
Oh, okay.
That's
Oh,
my
good for you,
drink. I don't
man.
want to drink anymore right now. I'll get too messed up. Um, and then we got to do one last. We're retiring our well, the thing that I
Our,
was greeted to every time I saw you, and
our
when you
sign
like put it
off.
there, or
Yeah.
sign on.
So one last time, one last 1 year down. Yay, yay.
Okay,
Thank you, everyone, whether you leave comments or not. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you a year from now as well. Thank you, Dean. I
thank you, Vito.
appreciate
Love you,
all of
man.
you, and I thank you for spending time with me and my family yesterday. I will see you from Pittsburgh next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.